I just spent money for cars, $8 or whatever the hell that downtown the cities always have because fucking condensed population is some bullshit. Moral of the story is, I assume the people on the boardwalk, like, look at this place, isn't it lovely? It's just a boardwalk. But when it comes down to it, no one the fuck is out here. So I'm just kind of walking around for no particular reason. Really no benefit to doing this. But hey, I paid for an hour. I'm gonna block out here for an hour and enjoy the weather, I guess. Enjoy while it's slightly cool. Yeah, I'm not gonna enjoy this, but nonetheless, I paid my money to do it, so I'm gonna do it. Yay. I hate being alive. Being alive is miserable. I figured there'd be a lot more people at the place where I'm at. Really, like, no one here, like, at all. It's kind of disappointing. I mean, maybe I'll have a conversation with someone, but honestly, I doubt I'll have a conversation with anybody. It is what it is. I could be like an asshole, just like stand in front of this fucking restaurant like a dickhead and just whenever it's meal. Oh, well, apparently I've already written people's meal because when I walked by here the first time, there was actually people sitting outside, and I guess now there's no one there, and it's only been like 5 minutes since I've been by here. So apparently I've already scared away people. So audio quality is at the same level of do not watch. I am sorry. So that means it sounds like dog shit, basically. Yeah, I don't doubt it. I'm usually have my microphone, but right now I'm just kind of using the phone. So I have to speak up for one, and two, it's windy, and yeah, I imagine the wind's probably not helping. So yeah, it is what it is. Okay, it's better when it's closer to the microphone. I suppose I could flip my camera. Yeah, I'm just gonna turn the camera off and put the microphone next to my face so we can hear the audio of me when I walk and talk. So yeah. Fat ass pigeon that just flew by my face. Okay. I got an idea. Maybe you could stand right near the abortion clinic with the sign, and I'll screenshot it and save it for a future anti-nationalism album. I can't think of much better than that as a yo, I need to get one of my friends to provide my family members to take a picture of me with it, or else I'll put it on my I guess I could just put it on my time, but it's like 10 seconds for this one. But yeah, I can do that. Not right now, because I'm not really right near the river that's we're known for, Fox River. So basically, I'm just walking down the boardwalk because usually there's a lot of people here walking because it's quite the enjoyable view and walking trail. Unfortunately, oh no, my audio quality is going down. Now it's better. Okay. But yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, there's way fewer people than I thought would be out here. I was hoping there would be a bunch of people walking and enjoying the trail, and I'd have some conversations with people. But unfortunately, there seems to be like a total of like 10 people out here, and none of them want to have conversations. So, kind of blows. But hey, it is what it is. I fucking spent money, man. I spent money parking my car in one of those fucking lots where you like pay for things. I never do that. It's the first time I ever did that in my entire life. Buying a fucking spot to park my car. Like who the fuck does that? God, me apparently now. Just park at a curb like I do. Yo, man. Usually I would, but unfortunately, when I'm in downtown, there's not really a whole lot of spots you can park. You can pretty much only park in lots and stuff. I was almost thinking about like not paying and just hoping that like the popo wouldn't find my car sitting there, unpaid for, parking police or whatever the fuck. But when it comes down to it, I didn't want to take that risk, so I was just like, fuck it, I'll pay $1.80. $1.80 too much because it was like literally no cars sitting in that parking lot. I don't know why they're making you pay money for that bullshit, but it is what it is. Honestly, fuck the boardwalk. I am now going to walk around the city for the remaining 30 minutes that I have until my car has to move. Because honestly, frankly, fuck the boardwalk. There's no one here. There's actually no one here. This is how disappointed I've been in the last 2 hours. You might be like, oh, well, what was so disappointing a couple hours ago? Having to go and get a fucking, well, thinking I had to go and purchase a seller's permit, and then realized I don't actually have to do that, and I went back to the other than fact, I guess I turned in my form, so that was good for my solicitor's permit, which allows me to go door to door and basically hand out information to people. So hopefully that will be accepted by the city, and I'll be able to do door-to-door activism within a couple weeks here. That'll be pretty interesting, fun, or whatever, I guess. I don't know. Get a printout with bullshit and propagize to people. You know what, fuck it. I'm putting the camera back on. Why not? You know what? I'm dropping my fucking wallet off of my car. I'm weighing my pants down. Try to pull them up like a ghetto or something. But I don't have a belt on. Oh, wait, I don't belt because I'm a degenerate. I don't feel like doing things that I ought to do. Things that make life easier are often things I avoid. I don't know why. Just a bad habit. Okay. We're at my vehicle. Just drop my wall. Fuck this bullshit. Tired of carrying that around. In fact, I'm gonna take my fucking glasses off too. Stick them right here. This is catalyst. You're all suffering. Unfortunately. Goddamn, is it fucking dead over here? Yo, man, look at this. Where is everybody? What is going on in downtown Green Bay today? There's literally more people in non-downtown areas than in downtown where all the businesses are. What the shit? I suppose I really don't go to downtown Green Bay very often, but at the same time, like, I assume there's usually more people down here. It's kind of where everything goes on is downtown. But there ain't no one fucking here in the middle of the day. Yeah, it's a ghost town, pretty much. Like, what the shit? Like, I'm almost tempted to say, fuck it, I don't care about the dollar that I'm going to be wasting, and just driving back to the Packers stadium, because at least there's, like, fucking traffic there. Like, honestly, there's more people walking around the stadium than there is in the boardwalk, which is weird. Yeah, what the shit? You know what, fuck it, we're gonna just go back to the stadium. Okay. Mildly disappointing.
I believe I'm connected through my car's speaker. Can you hear me fine still or no? Or does it sound weird? I don't know how it works when I play it through my car speaker using StreamYard, so it's better, worse than usual. It's good? Awesome. That's great. I'm gonna flick my camera off as well. May as well keep it on. Let's see if I can position my camera in a way that I can keep myself in frame. Yeah, that should work perfectly. We're going on a cruise. Zoom, zoom. Honestly, not using my GPS, this is gonna be fun because I actually have like the worst navigating skills ever. So this is gonna be really interesting, given that I don't know how to fucking get around Green Bay like at all. So I used this fucking GPS to get here, and I was kind of lost even as I was using my GPS to get like to the boardwalk. So getting back home without using my GPS shouldn't be too hard, but it's gonna be interesting. Okay, do I go straight here or do I go left or right? Fuck. Huh. We're gonna go straight and hope that that's the way I have to go. Nope, it wasn't. It was right. Huh. Oh well. Okay. Let's whoop, grow into this parking lot. Turn this way. Fuck. Okay. Fuck. Okay. I give up. I'm just gonna hold my phone in my hand. I was trying to rest it in a nice way that I could, go about everything in a decent manner, where it didn't have to have one of my hands being occupied. Not that it really matters. I hold my hand when I navigate my GPS all the time, but it's still just a bit disappointing. Life is a inherently disappointing adventure, though. How's it going to the three people that are watching me? I know Seb's here, and Seb's probably doing all right based off of what his usual mood is. But if you're not doing all right, Seb, feel free to vent and explain why you're not doing all right. But how's everybody else doing? This mood I don't know on average. It's ill-advised to read while driving. 100%, I agree. Which is why I'm only gonna read when I get to a stoplight. But otherwise, yes, you're 100% right. It's not exactly a smart thing to do to read while driving. So I'm gonna not do that. I think I'm like 15 minutes away from GB Stadium. We'll find out. The Santa Skyrim thing. That popo, that police officer just went through the fucking red light without coming to a complete goddamn stop. Fucking pig. I'm not allowed to do it, but you are. I'm headed to the Packers Stadium. I was at the boardwalk, which is like this nice aesthetic area where a lot of people go walking, and I have my sign. Unfortunately, today it was dead as shit, so I'm just heading back to the Packers Stadium where I was earlier today doing activism, because frankly, there's a lot more cars there, so it kind of just is what it is. So I'm heading to back home pretty much, like a block away from my house. Drove 15 minutes, and then I'm just driving all the way back. Awesome, good luck. Yeah. So far, I'm just gonna stuck at a bunch of red lights, which is convenient for chatting with you guys because then I can look down on my phone. But so far, hopefully, there's more people at the Packers Stadium than there is at the boardwalk. Cause the boardwalk was fucking lame. There was no one there. Saddest thing. Yeah, we're going straight here. I'm so bad at navigating in Green Bay. That's just kind of like guessing. Ashland Avenue. Yup, Ashland's where I need to go. Okay. We're home free, baby. I know where I am now. That motherfucker just pulled a risky move. I respect it. I myself am not exactly the most safe driver, so the fact that dude pulled what he just did there, I'm just kind of like, okay, you do you. I would do the same. Usually I listen to music while driving, but I don't want to get copyright striked, so it's just a tragedy. I'm like, this is kind of like being forced to think. Thinking is pain. Not really thinking about much, but either way, thinking is pain. So usually I can just kind of tune out and just sing along to music. That's just why driving is quite nice. But right now I'm just kind of forced to acknowledge that the road is the road, and I must think about the road and all the dangers of driving. Not that I have anxiety about driving or anything of that nature, but it is just one of those things where it's like, you could just die at any point. You could just get like T-boned or like, you know, crash in some other way, which is just getting boned in a metaphorical sense by life. So, you can get boned in many ways while driving. Either way, it's not a fun way. Hey, another red light. Good. And it turned to green again. Guess I'll look at the chat next red light. Okay. Stuck inside that dude, out where the stars forget to shine. See, I can play my own songs and I can't get copyrighted because I can sing. How far you fall, were you to call? cage that's built for you. Stuck inside this cage that can't fit two. Oop, there we go. We're almost there. 2 minutes away from our destination. Well, probably. I don't have a GPS, but I'm just assuming it's 2 minutes away based on my normal amount of driving time. I have slight estimates in distance, I can kind of do that. But we rule the snow and the night. It seemed to last as long as 6 weeks on Paris Island. They ruled the highlands, do 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 do, and they were sharp as knives. Do 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 do. Here we go. We have arrived. Do you have any good ideas for the next antinatalism album title? I'm indecisive about that stuff. In a few days, I'll start recording the other antinatalism album. Let's see. Just think of terms involving antinatalism, promortalism, nihilism. Nihilism's not really antinatalism. I guess there's a lot of nihilists who are antinatalists, but it's not necessarily antinatalists. Anything is opposite because it implies moral nihilism. Let's see. Promortalism, promortalist. Do you know Ashley from Minneapolis from Stop Having Kids? I know of Ashley from Stop Having Kids. I've never actually talked to her myself or had any type of real interactions, I guess you could say, with her. No, I don't really think I've talked to Ashley, but I know of Ashley. I've seen her videos occasionally on Stop Having Kids, and I think she had an interview with Lawrence Anton, I think, once, potentially. And if I remember right, she was pretty cool. I mean, she's attractive, so that's good for the movement. We got a pretty face, so. First time hearing the name, says Seb. Yeah, she's pretty cool. I think Lawrence does have a video with Ashley in it. So if you want to check her out, I believe Lawrence Anton has a video with her for a good interview. I'd recommend checking out his video or her channel, I guess, if she has a channel, through the Stop Having Kids website or wherever she has that. I don't know her channel name. If she even has a channel name, to be fair. So, and that'll grab my cards. Lordy. You know what? Earlier today, I was doing Birth is Careless, I'll Suffer Death. Let's do Abortion is an Act of Love. That one seems to always get quite a bit of support anyway.
telling people what not to do gets people angry. Telling people, hey, you're allowed to do this thing. That makes people typically happy. So I get quite a bit more support with the abortion side than I do in comparison with the, birth as a catalyst of all suffering and death side. So, hey, let's go for it. See, there's a lot more cars already you can see here. I don't know why I assumed the boardwalk would have some type of proper level of bullshit to their thing, but hey, whatever. Huh, interesting. Yeah, I still have literally a half an hour fucking left on my time that I could have been in that fucking parking lot back there, and it makes me a little annoyed. I was expecting there people to be actually at the boardwalk. Goddamn, guys. $1.80. You know how much $1.80 is in other countries? I don't, but I imagine $1.80 can buy you quite a bit in other countries, seeing as some people live off $1 a day. I just spent more money to park in a spot for 20 minutes than some people spend in an entire day trying to maintain their body's functions. Like, what the fuck? Parking in a fucking parking lot that was 90% empty. 90% empty. Nice car. Vroom, vroom. I didn't have a bigger rent as I thought it would. Two boomers staring at my sign. Get back to work. Somebody's approaching. Howdy. Oh, was that? Oh, you're on the phone. My bad. I didn't realize he was just talking out loud. I thought he was talking to me. Uh, relatable, though. I guess I'm technically talking out loud, too. So, the pro-lifers are gonna hate facts. I get quite a bit of middle fingers for this side, not gonna lie. I get more boots for this side, but I also get more middle fingers for this side. Just because, people aren't philosophy majors. They don't quite understand. The other side says birth is a catalyst of all suffering and death is saying don't have kids. But people are stupid, so they can't even process that. They're just like, what does the word catalyst mean? So, the sign that says abortion is an act of love at least kind of gets people to understand what it means, because their brains can at least process that the word love and abortion mean things. So Well, catalyst is a big word that's spooky and scary for some people. So. Lady just mouthing Fortune Jack Low and just skulls at me. Fucking no. She was Hispanic, and Hispanic people are statistically really religious. So I'm assuming she was just a Christian who was pissed off at me. So based off of ethnic religion statistics, she's probably just Christian. So it is what it is. Christians be Christians. You gotta just deal with their bullshit. You seem easy to talk to, which is great for activism. Yeah, I'm pretty chill. I can basically hold conversations about pretty much anything. Generally, I'm a chill dude. I like talking about philosophy, but I also like talking about pretty much everything. Stoner, so I'm sober right now because I said I wouldn't smoke till Wednesday. I kind of half lied because I smoked last night with my brother because my brother wanted to smoke me up, and I was like, you know what, free weed's free weed. So it is what it is. But right now I'm sober. Hell yeah! And we got a yeah. So there we go. We got one here. We've only been out here for about 5 minutes, so that's good. Um, yeah, it's just the perks of being kind of psychopathic. You can pretty much blend in with any crowd you wish to. You can everybody kind of likes you. Your personality is kind of, you have a personality, but it's like, wishy washy. How big is the sign? Looks big. Let me take my hat off. Basically, that big. You can see my hat right there. Sign, it's pretty decent size. I mean, I'm 5'7", so it's about a leg leg's length long. So I look like a fucking weirdo, but I don't give a shit. So ayo. Wow, pretty big. Very cool. Thanks. Yeah, no problem. Just got the design off the Stop Having Kids website, and then I just went to a local place right down the road, about a mile, called Fast Signs, and they printed out the two sides for me. So, street preacher. You look like a street preacher? Oh, hell yeah, my dude. I'm out here preaching the Lord's word. As I think his name's Kierkegaard or whatever, that one Christian. As Kierkegaard once said, our boy J-Man, he never had children, and the New Testament's all about that. It's all about Old Testament was the punishment phase, and the New Testament is the forgiveness phase. I'm not Christian, but if I was Christian, I wouldn't have kids. So, aren't there possibilities of being attacked? Maybe. I mean, WLUK, the TV, the news station's like a block away. I don't know if you can really see it from here, but right behind this building, the Resch Center, is the police station. So if I were to get attacked, the police would be here to help me out pretty dang quickly. Um, Not to mention there's a famous monument, the Packer Stadium right there, and it has like security cameras like every fucking couple inches. There's a security camera out there. There's security cameras basically all around this place. So if I were to get hacked, I mean, the person that has hacked me probably would not get away with it. Funny how God aborts babies a month for every woman, but people don't give a fuck about that. Yeah, pretty much. There's all these miscarriages and shit, then yeah, no one gives a fuck. One of my acquaintances, I guess it doesn't matter. I can say her first name. I'm not going to say her last name. Miriam, basically, she ended up getting pregnant from one of my ex-friends. Was a friend for a good portion of time until he decided to beat Miriam's cat to death and strangle it alive, just because she basically built an attachment to her cat, you know. And basically, he's a complete fucking psychopath. And so, you know, when it comes down to it, psychopaths like it when, you know, the person who they have affection for only dictates their affection towards themselves. So they're basically the foundation for the, you know, happiness or whatever. It makes us feel good when we have a purpose in another person's life and we're a foundation for another person's emotional stability and mental space. It's kind of just the psychology of a psychopath. I know. But yeah, basically, he strangled her cat to death. Once he found out that she began to have like an attachment towards the cat, and yeah, now I'm no longer friends with Quentin because of that. You know, not very cool. I'm a pro-mortalist, but he broke its arm and strangled it to death. It wasn't like he just was like put it out of his misery or anything. No, he fucking just tortured the little fucker and killed it. So not cool, not cool. Moral story is though, Quentin ended up getting Miriam pregnant with his kid. So I was basically just trying to convince her for like a couple months to get an abortion. I'm like, hey man, like I'm an antinatalist, you know this. You knew I was an antinatalist before you got pregnant, so you already know I believe having a child is wrong. I was just trying to convince her that basically like you're literally having a child of a guy that killed your cat and has like shoved his other girlfriend like downstairs and like he's shoved her while she's been pregnant and stuff. Like he's a piece of shit. And I'm like, yo, you should not have this kid. Well, guess what? She decided to have the kid anyways, but guess what? The Lord had different plans, baby. The Lord was on my side because miscarriage, you know, like no joke. Like I was basically just trying to convince this person that she ought to have an abortion, and she didn't buy it. I'm just like, hey man, like I'm not gonna like stop talking to you or anything, but like you're quite literally committing an act like worse than murder here, you know. And she's just like blah 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 Christian stuff, you know, blah 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 blah. I'm allowed to do whatever I want, you know. So God, lol. And yeah, guess what? Miscarriage. It's just like, where's your God now, Miriam? Where's your God now? You just said I was wrong because of my ethics, because your God dictates what's right and wrong, and guess what your God did for you? Jack fucking shit. So yeah, I don't know why people cling on to religion. I don't know why people cling on to abortion stuff, especially considering Numbers 5 verses 11 through 31 are literally the only time abortions are mentioned in the Bible. It's explicitly saying that miscarriages are acceptable if you test your wife on cheating in a ritual. So Christians are just silly billies. They have no fucking clue what's in their own holy book. And when it comes down to it, they're just a bunch of sadists who just use their fucking God to justify their own whimsical little desires. And, you know, when it backfires on the end and God's will turns around and bites them in the ass, hey, they don't got nothing to say. Fucking there's a grass just got my eye. God wasn't liking my shit talking. Just kidding. Funny how God, yeah. No. Yo, my phone basically died. Somehow the power is still going. People like,
Me have a mini me, but they don't take into consideration that their partner might have a cat killer gene or the consideration that their ancestor genes. Yeah, basically. Loki, my phone just died and I turned it back on and I'm still in the stream, so A, it's great, but I'm at 3% power. So I'm gonna go back home really quickly and yeah, I'm guessing I already been walking around for like fucking 2.5 hours today, I guess in total if you count like what I did earlier plus on the boardwalk and all that jazz. So I'm gonna consider that enough walking for today, and I'm gonna go and talk on my laptop. So set this bad boy down here, and let's go home. Mayo man, you got me fucked up. I'm not gonna let you in. I'm a dickhead. Fuck you. I just waving at a police officer like a fucking prick. Because I'm allowed to do whatever I want. Can't stop me. I think it annoys police officers whenever someone waves at them. It's like a little part of their brain just like, you fucker. Because I'd be like, you fucker. I'd be like, I want to pull that fucker over right now. All he's doing is waving at me, but there's no reason he should be waving at me. It's too friendly. Yeah, sorry about the battery. That sucks. Yeah, it's alright, my dude. I probably should have charged my phone a little bit longer before I went out. I had it at 50%, and I was like, let's go on an adventure and do some activism. And yeah, I probably should have kept
at least 75%, but hey, it is what it is. Luna, it's me, not Dad. I'm sorry. It really do be. You'll have to be lonely for a few more hours until Sean gets home. Because I don't like you, Luna.
Ta-da! And now we're on the laptop. Just transition from the phone to the laptop. There we go. Perfect. I'm gonna plug my phone in. And we're Gucci. Yeah. So how y'all doing this fine afternoon on a subjective level for myself? For you, it might not be as fine, which is why I'm asking. So, hello, Ant. Goodbye, Ant. I'm sorry about Mr. Ant's life just being ended in a mere moment. Didn't even think about it, just killed it. But as a promortalist, it is what it is. Goodbye, Ant. Got me some Everclear. Gonna start out the afternoon right and proper. Did my activism. Did my driving around. So my responsibilities have been completed for the day's stuff and requires driving around. And now I can remove my sobriety from my system. Just as God intended. Go. Half water. Lemonade. A little bit of this off-brand Mio water, because off-brand Mio water is cheaper than normal Mio water, and I'm cheap. And powdered Gatorade. Don't tell Coca-Cola, because I worked for Coca-Cola and Gatorade's a Pepsi product, but I fucking never buy Coca-Cola products. So, it is what it is. I feel a bit tired. Not that tired, like I went for a walk and I close, but that I've recovered mostly. Oh, well, I am sorry to hear that you're feeling tired, my dude. Hopefully you can wake up a little bit with caffeine or some water. You might need some water. Water helps keep you awake. I don't know why, but hydration helps. I'm gonna post a StreamYard link because now that I'm no longer out and about walking, y'all can feel free to talk. This is recorded mostly for 12 hours. Feel a bit tired, but not that tired. Like I went for a walk in a dark sewer that I've recently recovered mostly. Interesting. I think that's Seb. Yep, awesome.
Hey,
Howdy, howdy. How's it going?
it's going fine. I said I was a bit tired, but I still like to talk even when I'm tired.
That's good.
And yeah, I was going to say that yeah, I was going to say that you did it in the correct order, like first driving and then drinking, but yeah, yeah, I hesitated a bit, but I was not sure if it was that funny, but it seems like it was slightly funny.
Yeah, I've been sober all morning, but now we're about to finish that trial of sobriety. Tastes pretty good too. A little bit of a kick to it, but not gonna lie, but it's pretty good.
The last time I had a drink was like an entire 6 pack of beers.
Oh, nice.
But it's not that pleasant, it's a lot of liquids.
Yeah, beer is not. I'm not a big fan of beer. I'm more of a vodka and wine type of guy. Wine and champagne are my perfect things I like to get drunk off of. But if I want to just get drunk really cheap, which is kind of what I'm doing right now because I'm trying to be sober for a little bit, I just pulled out my Everclear and made a mixed drink because mixed drinks are a good way to get fucked up, you know? It's flavorful and you don't have to pound 6 beers, and fill your whole stomach up with alcohol and, potentially get an upset stomach later on in the night. Because that's no fun.
It's there's not a lot of people that has an anti-natalist film video under the influence, but I'm actually did I yeah, I think I once made an anti-natalist song with on the vocals while I was drunk one time, and it helped.
Oh,
The
hell yeah.
animation kind of helped the performance, and
Yeah, it removes like the anxiety and stuff like that, I imagine.
yep.
Hmm.
I would have liked to sing a bit louder, but it's hard when one has neighbors and stuff.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, neighbors will do it to you. Hmm. Do you so you don't drink very often, or I mean, I know.
No, I don't. Um, I don't find it that exhilarating. It can
Mhm.
be good sometimes, but I haven't done it in a while now. So I should, but I'm open to doing it relatively soon.
Yeah, I mean, I mainly smoke and drink just to relax myself. I don't really do it for fun of it anymore. Like when I first started smoking, it was kind of for a mix of relaxation and fun. But now I pretty much just smoke for fun. Sorry, not for fun, for relaxation. Um, yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, I wish I could get high still because it would be like more, amusing for myself to be able to get high and be chill. But being just chill is cool. But that's kind of why I'm taking a 2 day break. Well, a day break from smoking to try to let my tolerance kind of just go down a itty bitty bit. That way I can feel it again. But so that's why I'm drinking. I almost never drink, but when I'm not smoking, I typically drink. So I have bad
Yeah,
habits.
when I tend to talk with Soar, and Soar gave me the permission to say this. By the way, I asked him if it was okay, but he every time I jam with him, he's stoned and too, so he's a fellow stoner. I think when he talked to you, he was also stoned, but it's kind of hard to tell when other people are stoned or not.
Yeah, it's difficult to tell. Drunk, it's easier to tell if people are drunk or not. But when it comes to being high, yeah, I can. pretty much be high, and people can just have no clue if I am or not. But that's because I'm pretty much always high, besides when I'm at work. And is pot legal there? It's decriminalized. So Delta 9, which is traditional pot, has been decriminalized. Delta 8 and Delta 10 and THCO, all the analogs essentially. All the analogs are completely legal in Wisconsin. So like I can smoke Delta 8, I can smoke Delta 10. Am I smoking Delta 8 or Delta 10? I'm a psychopath. You answer that for you. If you think I'm obeying the law, or do you think I'm breaking the law? Yeah, you can take the guess. But when it comes down to it, yeah, pot's not legal, but it's decriminalized. So most I would get like my weed taken away, and then like get like a $200 fine, and be like, "Don't do that again." And I'd be like, "I swear I won't." So that's pretty much what would happen if I got caught with weed. At these days are dead. So not a whole lot, basically. It's decriminalized.
Hmm. I
Is it?
find it.
What were you gonna say? My bad.
I find it a few times I've tried that sort of stuff. It has always felt. It has a. I don't know.
Anxious.
It has anxious. It
Hmm.
also low self confidence sometimes.
Low self confidence. Interesting. Hmm.
But I guess maybe if one gets used to the effect, that stops. I see the
Yeah.
potential for it being a very good thing.
No. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. As you get used to it, the paranoia goes away. I'm a absolutely crazy motherfucker. So I used to purposely. Oh, here's the thing. I took 7 tabs of LSD once, and after that, I had what's called HPPD, which is psychedelic PTSD. And I'm a fucking crazy person, so I would purposely set off my HPPD just so I would have anxiety attacks while high, because the anxiety attack while high made the high more intense and more like like throwed me into like a trip like setting, like a mind state. So I get like an anxiety attack, and they would like emphasize all the like the high effects basically. So I'd purposely do that just so I could get higher, and eventually my anxiety went away because and I basically have no more anxiety in regards to most things in life now. Like I just don't have like very very minor levels of anxiety. So I think conquering fear is like a good way to go about that with drugs, especially like I mean with weed especially. Like I mean you're better off starting out slow. Okay, you're better off starting out slow, but if you do go fast and go hard into it and you just smoke like a ton of days in a row, eventually your tolerance will build up and you won't have anxiety anymore. But yeah, the best thing to do is most likely when you smoked in the past or dead edibles or whatever you did, you probably just took too much and got a little bit too high, and so the anxiety kind of kicked in. Um, but yeah, I mean, it really depends on the person. Depends heavily on the setting, like who you're with and like where you are, if you're comfortable with the environment you're in. Um, Basically, there's a bunch of factors that come into like how if you'll have an anxiety attack when you're high or not. But for the most part, yeah, I mean, I'd almost recommend you try Delta 8. If you could get a hold of Delta 8, I'd recommend trying that. Just because Delta 8's an analog of traditional weed, but it's not as strong, and it's more of a body high than a mind high. So the anxiety levels are a lot less prominent on Delta 8 in comparison to Delta 9. So I feel like that might be a good way to get into smoking if you want to try it.
I, I, I guess like, there's always the possibility of maybe me sometimes visiting so hard and then doing stoned jams and stuff
Yeah, yeah, Stone
in
Jam.
real life instead of sauna bus. But the last time tried to be stoned, it was so much that very disorientating, and and
Nauseating.
not nauseating, but I'm trying to find the word. It was
Disassociative.
delirium. I think delirium. If I don't want to use the wrong word. It's delirium.
Delirium. Yeah, delirium of just association. Yeah, that's 100% what you're probably experiencing. Yeah, when you basically just kind of blip from room to room, or like you forget moments, like you're just kind of like your brain just stops working, and like your part of your brain that does long term memory just kind of stops. It doesn't store anything, and so you're basically just like kind of walking around and like teleporting into rooms.
Yeah, it
So
also affected the coordination too.
yeah, that's true. It definitely affects coordination. Huh. I mean,
And
I like that though. I mean, for me it's fun. I like being all wibbly wobbly and dysfunctional. But for other people, I can see how that's not an appeal. I guess it depends on the person. I know a lot of people that have like a lot of anxiety normally when they're sober aren't a huge fan of weed. I mean, it really depends. I mean, I guess it depends on the type of anxiety and like why you're anxious and if you can identify why you're anxious. But a lot of people don't like the fact that weed's inebriating just because of the fact that like they want to be on edge and all that type of stuff. But I guess it's to each their own. I mean, if most people weed helps.
yeah, I think it might help with some creative things too, like making riffs, but I haven't gotten the chance to play guitar while doing it. Some like the memory stuff can be a problem if one makes a killer riff and then one forgets it.
Hmm. No, that's 100% correct.
So,
Yeah.
but that can be if one records it, then one can just relearn it afterwards.
Hmm. No, that makes sense. Yeah. Have you ever tried mushrooms, by the way? I think you
Yes,
said, yeah, yeah.
it's very fun.
It's very fun. But you've never tried LSD though, right?
No, never.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you found shrooms fun and manageable, you could probably find LSD also pretty fun and manageable. It's like a completely different type of psychedelic, like completely different in its nature. It feels a lot different. It feels like more fake. It feels like electronic and staticky in comparison to shrooms, which feels like more real than real. So like, I don't know if you experienced that on shrooms, where like the world felt more real than real, but I experienced that when I'm on
Yeah,
shrooms.
I felt that. I guess I want start to come by LSD. Don't have a lot of. I don't have any connections and stuff, and shrooms was easy because one can pick it up from the ground. But if I guess I would have to go into some kind of drug tunnel with a lot of people there and ask them, "Hey, do you have LSD? Do you have LSD?" Or nah, I don't feel like doing that.
No, that's 100% fair. I've only gotten actual LSD once in my entire life, and other than that, I've done ALD 52, which is analog of LSD, and that I just ordered from Canada straight to my doorstep. So from a research company website. I guess that's the best way to get a hold of psychedelics is just to buy them from research companies. But I'm not gonna like show down the research companies here.
Maybe I asked, but did you try? I think I might have asked about flageric or Amanita muscaria.
Hmm. You might have. I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, but if you haven't heard of, if you have that reaction, then I think that answers it. I don't think you've tried it or anything.
What's it called again?
It's a mushroom, psychoactive, flageric.
Yeah, I
It's
don't know what type of mushrooms I've tried. I tried actual mushrooms once, but I don't know what they were. I think they might have been penis envy, maybe, but I'm not entirely sure. Um,
what
in terms
about mescaline?
mescaline, I have not tried mescaline yet. No.
Okay.
Yeah. In terms of shroom pills, I've tried 4-ACO DMT, which is converts into psilocin in your body. So I've experienced shrooms in some high level doses. I did 4 grams of shrooms before, and I did the equivalent of 8 grams of shrooms, which is 20 milligrams and 40 milligrams of 4-ACO DMT. But yeah, it's quite strong. I would never recommend jumping straight into anything as high as 8 grams. That's a good way to get yourself PTSD. So be careful whenever you do shrooms, even on like large doses. I mean,
Yeah, I will never do too large of a dose.
I'm a mad lad, so I've taken large doses. I mean, my brother's taken a way larger dose than I have on shrooms. He's taken a dose that's twice the amount of I have. But I mean, yeah, in terms of LSD, I've done quite a fuck ton of LSD before. But shrooms, I've
It's
taken a large dose, but don't do
there's
that.
some disadvantages. So if one gets too scared by bad dose, that's only going to prevent one from doing it more in the future too. So there would be less fun that way.
Yeah, exactly.
And the whole point of it is to have fun, and to me, and something out of uh, uh, uh yeah. So by the way, is it okay? I'm not sure if it's okay, but since I've made like 50 anti-natalism songs, it tends to be on my mind a lot. So I might mention it, antinatalist songs and that stuff a lot, relative to other things I mention, or but I try to like limit the amount of times I mention the antinatalism songs.
No, no,
I
it's
make
completely
an
cool.
effort.
No, it's completely cool. Feel free to talk about whatever you want, man. If you want to talk about antinatalism songs, I mean, that's what this podcast is kind of about. It's just about antinatalism, nephilism, and the various associated topics. So, I mean, like, whether it's music or whether it's something else, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. So long as it's kind of, hell, it doesn't really need to be on topic. People can just talk about whatever on this channel, frankly. So, talk about whatever you want, my dude. I feel no issues with that.
Have you heard of A.K. Hunter with his album No Child Left Behind?
I have not.
Well, that was one of the albums that did really well. The guy like released a bunch of anti-natalist themed albums, but none of them has gotten that reaction like on No Child Left Behind. There's songs in there like Get a Snip, or I think.
What's the name of the
And
band again?
oh, it's not a band, it's just an artist called A.K. Hunter. You
AK.
might have seen A.K. Hunter on the Exploring Antinatalism podcast.
Oh, yeah, I think I might have. Yeah. Does he have copyright on his song? Let's see.
Uh, maybe unintentionally. I'm not sure.
I do not see any copyright.
He had this song called The Sun, which I covered one time. I made like a doom metal version of The Sun, and I put I want to do it again one time and just do it more properly. So, hmm. But The Sun has some excellent riffs too. I talked about AK Hunter one time, and at one point we both agreed on some kind of collaboration. and something, but it never happened.
Hmm.
I would have liked to have some fellow anti-natalist artists to collaborate with. I've not been lucky when it came to collaboration with other anti-natalist artists. I have been lucky, on the other hand, with people supplying me with their art work for stuff.
Interesting.
Um, so I will start the recording of the new anti-natalist album, and I'm thinking of maybe having the lyrics more, having it more this dystopian and maybe about AIs. If I could, if I could connect it to AIs and some future dystopian stuff at the same time, that could be something unexplored. I could do that, and on the new one I'll definitely do the cover of The Sun by AK Hunter too.
Hmm. I almost want to play AK Hunter's The Sun. Yeah, I'm gonna do that actually. Anybody that wants to check out AK Hunter's channel, we're gonna play the first song on his album, The Sun. Um, yeah, feel free to check out his channel. I'm not gonna have a link in the description or anything, but AK Hunter right there, 99 subscribers. Make that 100 subscribers.
Yeah, excellent riffs.
The sun is a demon in the sky, shining light, giving rise to light. The sun is a demon in the sky, shut it off and let everything die. Leave this land barren in the light, 'cause the sun is a demon in the sky. Does the universe know the way that we know? A never-ending dream, better not to have been. In the blackness of space, the deepest fears reside. There's nowhere to hide, nothing to divide. And here in the cold, where nothing can grow, and there's nowhere to go, we say a short goodbye to the pain from the demon in the sky.
And that was pretty good, actually. I like that.
Yeah, it's extremely good, and the riffs on the acoustic guitar is good, and one can hear all when he's moving the fretting hand up and down. One hears the little sound, the little percussive sounds on the strings, like when and it changes the chords, and I'm not sure if what it's called, but I'm not sure what it's called, but one can. Yeah, I did, and like when I heard this, I felt like covering it,
Hmm.
and then I should re-listen to that again sometimes.
Oh, I know a good song that we might be able to cover. Have you ever heard of the song? Um, Here, I'm gonna pull it up on YouTube. I'm not gonna play the video just because I don't want to get the channel demonetized again. Well, the video removed
Oh
from
yeah,
copyright stuff, but I'm gonna pull up the song either way. Let's see. It is. Oh, too many songs in my playlist. Uh,
I'll
I'm the End of the Line. Have you ever heard of I'm the End of the Line by Morrissey?
about for some reason I've not heard a lot of Morrissey.
Here, I'm gonna play a little bit of it just so you can get an idea, but hopefully it won't be enough to demonetize me. We'll find out. Either way, it's not like there's anything really.
What if I just listen to it?
Oh yeah, go for it. If that, you should do that.
That way you don't risk that
Awesome.
thing.
More
End
some.
of the line.
Yep.
Morrissey.
It has like antinatalist lyrics, so I figured converting it into a rock album would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I could do a whole. I could. There is a bunch of antinatalist songs I could cover, and in the chat, I posted this cover of The Sun by A.K. Hunter. I just put it on. The reason I unlisted it was because back then I didn't have like good. So someone commented on Reddit that that was the worst guitar tone they have heard in their entire life. Like that distorted thing. I'm not sure, but if you heard of it, but Mike Bull has this song called Better Never to Have Been." Oh, you're muted.
My apologies. My band. What band?
It's just Mike Bull, Bohl, Mike Bull,
Bull.
and Better Never to Have Been. I think it's called. I haven't listened to it in a while. It's very good. Maybe even better than AK Hunter's The Sun.
Here we go. Let's stick that into my playlist. Songs I can vibe with.
I tried to learn the song on guitar, but it was difficult to learn it back then.
Hmm.
Maybe if I tried nowadays, I could learn it. It's harder to learn songs with chords if I can learn like riffs by ear if it's power chords and individual notes, but if it's more complex chords, then it's a bit difficult.
Yeah, it's trippy. I like it. It's chill. It could be a little bit clearer. I can't quite understand what they're saying the best in some parts of the song, but that's just a personal preference because I like the sing along of things. Some people don't really mind the blurriness to music, the haziness to certain songs. So I guess it's just personal preference.
It's a good one. If I should, it's on my list to cover that song on The Sun by AK Hunter, and I thought about covering. I guess those are the the best non nefarious rockers anti-natalism songs. So
Oh my god, bunch of activities due tonight. Hmm. I'm just looking at my homework, by the way. So my bad if you hear me talking to myself. I'm just looking at.
it's okay.
So I was like, shit, I have 40 different assignments, well, activities due tonight. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different mini assignments. Annoying. School, man. I absolutely hate college. Yeah, yeah. I have Spanish.
Did it just start to like today?
Yesterday. Yesterday, yeah. The first assignment's due tonight at midnight. No. I mean, it really depends. It just started yesterday, so it's probably just like syllabus day yesterday, so you could probably take one if you signed up right now. But hey, look at this.
Are you available?
I don't know what's available for summer classes, my dude. Well, look at this. Fucking 40 activities due by midnight. What the hell? Summer classes are crazy. They're accelerated, so. Summer classes are nutty. Though, luckily, most of it is homework points, so that's good.
I had this anti-natalism album and I decided to have it like as a Spanish album title
Hmm.
and post it on the Spanish subreddits and Facebook groups. And um, I wonder if uh, there are certain words that sound better in in
Spanish?
that language, yes. But uh, I'll post it in the chat what it was called, and you will have a better comprehension of the title than me.
Why you opusa a las atroces hijos de Antoninus and su opposition and the opposition of the atrocities. Does that say atrocities?
I think it's meant to be atrocious.
Atrocious. Okay, I don't know Spanish very well, so
Oh,
atrocious. Hijos. Is that brothers? No, it's hermanos. Hijos is what is hijos? I forgot. Sons.
sons.
Yeah, sons of puta. What is puta?
I think it's bitches. I asked someone to
Yeah, whore.
translate like antinatalists and their opposition against atrocious sons of bitches.
Hey, that's the way. I like that title. That's pretty funny.
And I thought it's some. There are certain foreign words that just have like a better power to them.
Yeah. Puta. Bitches versus puta. I kind of like puta.
They should be like and like a Spanish antinatalist sort of like in them that says yells like the word pruta all the time or something. I would check it out.
Yeah, there aren't very many Hispanic antinatalists, are there?
Uh yeah yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of American, there's a lot of European, and there's Asian, and some Australian antinatalists, but I don't really know too many antinatalists from South America. I mean, there are some for sure, because I think there's been some on Lawrence Anton's podcast, but there isn't like a very prominent South American or Central American antinatalist community, I don't think.
It would be nice with some antinatalist who speaks Spanish and has if he someone who said both pendejo and puta and all those that would have been nice.
Yeah. I'll be right back. I need to go to the bathroom really quickly, but I'll be
Yeah,
right back.
okay.
And I'm back.
I have some theories why there is not a bunch of Spanish antinatalists on YouTube.
Go for it. I'm curious.
It's because Spanish antinatalists can't promote their videos very that easily on the subreddits, since the subreddits are in English and stuff.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah.
I think it has something to do with that, and that even the English antinatalist videos, in the English language, that barely has views on.
So you think it's mainly
I
just
think
a
some
language barrier?
Spanish antinatalist content creators will not be motivated enough to bother with it. And yeah, no, I don't. I think it's. Yeah, I guess it's a language barrier, and
Do you think it's the main point is just because they can't communicate their message in an effective way, so they just don't feel like it's worth bothering?
they won't be able to get like a la like a. I guess they could do it if it was if there was a bunch of Spanish people watching a bunch of anti-natalist videos, and but I have a feeling there is not a big Spanish anti-natalist YouTube crowd going on.
No, that's completely understandable and probably true. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, yeah, as I said before, I know like a lot of Spanish people are Christian, so I mean, there are Christian antinatalists, but it's just not as likely that you're going to be antinatalist if you're religious in nature. So I can see that being a large cause for that. Plus, there's also a really, really huge tie between like close knit families and Spanish culture. Like Spanish culture really emphasizes like it takes like a community to raise a kid and all that stuff, you know. So I think like their culture is just very pro-natalist in general as well. Like they have large families a lot of the time. Which is unfortunate, but yeah, the culture is very much pro-natalist, I assume.
I guess more so than other cultures.
Yeah, systematically about the same, but in terms of that culture of like how they raise kids and how they look at family, I think it's a lot more natalist, unfortunately. Hmm.
Are you
What were you saying?
yeah, I was going to first. I was going to think of something on the topic, but if it doesn't seem I have more stuff on that topic. I
No,
was
it's
going to ask you if you are good with impressions.
not. Oh, am I good at impressions? No, not really.
Or,
I'll,
or,
I'll mock people with like impressions, but I'm not good at making impressions of people. No.
uh, yeah, I thought it would have been nice to have some. If there was someone who made like an impression of Tony Montana from Scarface, but saying like anti-natalism things. or some.
I've never watched Scarface. Is this good, by the way, or no? The movie?
Yeah, it's. I think it's very good.
Hmm. Okay, then. Another movie to the bucket list. Scarface. Oh, speaking of movies, do you have any anti-natalist films you recommend, or no?
There's the what about music videos? Anti-natalism music video. There's this one my friend made. He made an animation. It's not really a movie, but uh, he made an animation about like a slot machine, and two one man and a woman puts a coin into the slot machine, and then out comes this baby from it, and it's animated. And it's I asked him if I could use it as a music video for one of the songs. So eh, s- s- yeah, he was really good at animation. My that friend of mine. N-
Hmm. Is he still around, or?
Yeah, he's not dead or anything.
Okay,
But
good.
but he has not done animation for a while. That's what I mean.
Ah, I gotcha. I understand. Is it just like his life has been getting pretty busy, or it's just like
Yeah, busy with stuff.
ah, that's a shame.
He yeah, if there's this music video on a Faris Rockers birth sucks, and with that animation, and on the slot machine when the stuff spins on the slot machine, there's it. No, it's hard. I don't have a good vocabulary for the parts of a slot machine, so I wouldn't be able to exp- explain how that slot machine very much. But there were options on the slot machine for the child to become yeah, all sorts of things really.
Hmm. It's like a slot machine, like athlete, celebrity, homeless person, stuff like that.
Yeah, like that. Yeah,
Okay, I gotcha.
but then an animation, so it's a bit better.
Interesting. I'll have to give that a watch at some point. Just because, I mean, I like to support all antinatalist content, so I mean, that's definitely a good thing to share. Hmm. Do you have a Facebook, by the way?
Oh yeah, I think you were high when you asked me the last time, and I said yes, and I think I joined your Facebook group, and I might have added you
Oh
as a
yeah.
Facebook friend, and we are Facebook friends.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, if you want to send me anything in terms of music or whatever, just send me it through Facebook, because then I can see the in like a private chat, and it will like save the message. In comparison to like the comments section on YouTube, where it's like it'll vanish after a little bit in the live chat.
Hmm.
Like once the live chat goes away, then at the end of the stream, I won't be able to click on the links or anything like that. But if you send it to me in like a private chat, then I'll be able to click on it outside of the stream, which is nice.
Yeah. I'm just looking over some stuff to. Yeah, I have like five antinatalist themed albums, five of them. I think maybe it's more efficient if I just send them in a playlist.
Yeah, that would work. Yeah.
Yeah, I could make but I could just send each individual thing, I guess, too.
Yeah, it's up to you. It doesn't matter too much for me. I'll watch them in my own time either way. So either format works.
Okay, I'm sending them on. See. Yeah, I'm sending some stuff.
Awesome.
Hmm. Done. There is also the first album with called The Riff That Kills, but it isn't like a strictly antinatalism themed album with only antinatalist songs. It has some antinatalist songs, like the opening track, the tragedy of evolution.
Tragedy of Evolution. So that one's antinatalist in nature, but a lot of the other ones aren't. Okay.
Yeah, and there was this song called Three Stages of Truth, and that is sort of how it feels like living as an antinatalist, but if one heard it, one wouldn't realize it was an antinatalism song.
They just think it's about like going through tough times or something.
No, the Three Stages of Truth songs, it's about a lot of things, but there's this quote by Arthur Schopenhauer. First, if let's see if I can even remember this. First, truth is first truth is ridiculed, then it is violently opposed, and then it is accepted.
Hmm.
It had a couple of themes such as uh, it, su- such as that like how truth is accepted, how it feels like living the alienation it get about living as an antinatalist, and some determinism stuff, like that one's country decides one's belief is like a lyric. Yeah, I had antinatalism in mind when I made the lyrics for it, but it isn't. But one wouldn't guess if that it is an antinatalist song.
Interesting. I mean, that's kind of a probably a good thing because then I can get into the mainstream more, and then because people relate to it outside of antinatalism as well. And then once people begin to like wonder what the lyrics are about and they look it up or anything like that, they might find out that's about antinatalism. which is a good thing because then it gets people to look into the subject.
Yeah, I also have a couple of a lot of unlisted songs too that are some like have some antinatalism lyrics to it. In total, let me check how many videos I have. I have this like YouTube app on which allows me to check how many YouTube videos I have in total. If I go and I can see what other people has tagged the video as, and they like YouTube score of using tags and sharing it and stuff.
Ooh, I do have. Yo, I got.
But I've been if I go on this one, that's the okay. So I have uploaded around 386 videos to that Nefarious Rockers channels, and that's a lot. 386. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's
And
quite a bit.
total amount of the total amount of channel views I have really is 16.7 thousand
16,700.
views
I have
in
like
total.
1,600, I think. That's
But
pretty
I
good.
listed a bunch of them since I wanted to upload more better like quality content with proper recording.
You ever make
Oh, no,
shorts?
I actually have more than that. When I think about it, I might have like how many thousand views do I have if I included all the old ones? I'm not sure.
I have 1.2 thousand views now. 1.6.
Oh yeah, if I go to analytics and I go to since the I would have liked to. Oh yeah, it says like in total I have 64.7 thousand views in total.
That's pretty good. That's quite a bit. That's
But
a
it
lot.
kind of sucks. I have that many views and only three, and with that many views, I feel like I should have had more than 354 subscribers. That's a lot of views.
Yeah, you have a lot of views, but do you think it's just that people watch your videos multiple times over, or do you think it's like a lot of people are just clicking on your videos and then not subscribing?
Yeah, it could be that a lot of people click on my videos since I do promote the content online, and a lot of people must have clicked on it. It just says it is counted as a view if someone clicks on the video and never watch it again.
That's true, yeah. Yeah, I have a lot more views than I have watch time, so that makes sense.
If I 64,691. If I what is the percentage of that in like a million?
I don't know.
I should do the math on that later. Oh yeah. So if you also have any good prompts for antinatalism song lyrics or any antinatalism song titles or any antinatalism album titles and stuff of that nature, I will, that would be nice too. If suddenly you think of the perfect title of something, or a prompt.
I'm trying to think of things. I'm just gonna pontificate out loud for a minute. Like prophet of promortalism or promortalism prophet. Uh, anti.
It's like introducing people to. I think there should be various steps. Like if someone has been usually the first step is antinatalism and then after that one can start being aware of bad life is, and then become a promotalist, but leading with promotelism right away can be hard.
No, that's fair. Yeah. Let's see. Let's think something about antinatalism. Procreative problem. Um. Pro- proud predation. I
I
don't
would
know.
maybe I can call it procreation is fucked
Procreation
because
is fucked.
that it has like a good that's a good procreation is fucked. It just sounds like a good title. It's catchy, I think.
If you make a song about like veganism or anything, or about like meat eaters and like their problems of meat eating, you could name it like something like praise predation, or like something like that. Like something about like promoting predation, praise predation. Um,
We have never made a vegan song before, and I thought that it's yeah, and the reason I haven't done that is veganism is already something everybody knows about.
yeah.
So it doesn't seem like it has like the right, like it's not like yeah, maybe if it's already in people's consciousness, and but I guess I should include a few of them because a lot of anti-natalists watch the songs. And if I have a vegan song, it could remind the anti-natalists are watching to also be vegan too.
Oh, I just came up with one. Dastardly or something with D. You just acronym DNA because it's related to Ethylism, and nefarious. You could use N for nefarious because that's like related to your band name, and then A for animals because we're all animals, and then the D would just have to be something like dastardly or destructive, like destructive nefarious animals or something like that, and it's just like a song about like the DNA molecule like reproducing and like mutating randomly or something like that. I don't know.
Damned nefarious animals.
Yeah, like destructive nefarious animals or like devious nefarious animals. Something of you'd have to think of what you'd have to do for D, but nefarious would make sense for the N, and then animals would make sense for the A. But that'd be a decent title, like something involving DNA.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Hmm. Let's see what else I can think of. Um, mutation, mutation. Hmm. I'm trying to think of like a rhyme that would go with mutation, like something involving like the mutating gene. The gene machine. I don't know. Uh, Yo, okay, I got an idea.
Mutation frustration.
Yeah, mutation frustration. That'd be a pretty good one. I like that. Mutation frustration. I'm gonna go to Great Tai Chi's channel on YouTube.
Oh yeah, great H, yo.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to his channel because he always has like really interesting titles to his videos, and I feel like we could use the title of his video.
Oh yeah,
And kind
yeah, I did that before one time, and used it as the band name once. So Nefarious Rockers was once called something different, but I won't tell what the previous band name was.
oh, DNA. Dangerous Needful Animal. DNA. Something like that.
If I compile like the titles into like a I guess I could watch some great HBO videos too and combine some, get some lyrical ideas too.
You could have like a song about like psychopathy or something like that, like trying to make it to the top and call it like the king of the meat grinder or something. King of the hill, king of the meat grinder. Um,
So in Mendham told you to take a tolerance break.
yeah, that was pretty funny. I can pull up the video where he says that to me. Literally the most. He's literally just hitting his vape nonstop, like. And then like I comment what I said, and then he's just like, "Yo, bro, you should probably take a break." And I'm like, "Yo, man, literally the most addicted motherfucker I know is telling me to take a break." Sad, but yeah, I figured if Amendum of all people is telling me to take a break, I probably should take a break. So yeah, I'm decided to no longer smoke for till Wednesday, so till tomorrow morning. So I'm gonna go at least 24 hours without smoking, just to see what I can do. See if I can manage. I'm sure I can manage. I mean, I've managed so far. I mean, it's been 12 hours, I guess. Oh, not quite 12. Let's see. Um, Please watch 1 minute footage. I'm sure I was probably around here. Rankil, you get that 70 something dollars. I sent you.
Did they say that in a video or to your comment?
He said it to me in a video.
Oh, that's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? Like Amendum actually responded to me. I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And he also called me a very kind person because I donated him like $70 or something like this last month or whatever. So I was like, "Hey, Amendum's saying I'm kind. That's cool." So let's see. Covered that. Yeah, it has to be around this point, right about here, where he tells me to.
Yeah, but like smoking.
Yeah, he's just constantly.
And it makes that sound always.
He does a little whistle.
It's like being addicted to dessert or something. I mean, it doesn't really count.
Oh, he's talking to me right here.
What do you know about microgravity? There's only one gravity. Period. The
You
end.
know, but microgravity. That
Yes.
Matter, anything material in the universe is going to create a gravitational effect because force hits it. Okay, and then it moves it. And anytime it moves, it's creating gravity. That's the simple answer. Or I suppose he's asking the other moron. What, I suppose. I don't know for sure. I mean, gravity's already a nuclear force. I mean, saying microgravity is just almost,
done.
well, duh. It's already micro.
There we go. My
I put
comment.
an atom in the same orbit that the Earth is in, and it does exactly the same thing the Earth does. Okay, gravity affects it exactly the same way. Yeah, well, cannabis isn't really physically addicting, so that's sort of a lame kind of habit problem. That's bad habits.
Calling
That's
my
not
habits
physiological
lame.
addiction.
Fair enough.
Just bad habits. It's like being addicted to dessert or something. I mean, it doesn't really count.
Hey, kind of, yeah. But when you're at my level of tolerance, I'm pretty sure it's kind of a bad thing.
I mean, mice won't starve to death, to get their cannabis, but they will starve to death to get their nicotine. Bunch of lazy fucktards to me. Lazy thinking, lazy attitude, lazy. Escapism is all it is. Frankly,
I think you respond to mine.
my plants last year were 9 feet tall. Yeah, so my tomatoes were that tall. Anyway, whatever. Fact, so my tolerance is so tremendous I don't actually get high anymore. Well, that just makes no sense then. Nicotine cravings are much stronger though. Agreed.
Yeah, I get
Whatever.
relaxed.
I mean, if your
I just
tolerance
don't
is
get
so
high.
bad for marijuana, I would take a break just to get back to where you can enjoy it again. Or whatever. I mean, whatever. Like I said, the whole drug culture thing just seems like such a, it's just a wank. It's just a cheap wank. Anyway, gotta quit for 2 days and get better weed.
Yeah, he basically just said that my habit's a cheap wank and that I should probably reset my tolerance a little bit so I can actually enjoy it. And when he said that, I was like, damn, everybody's been saying this to me for like a year now that I should reset my tolerance. And finally, my boy Amendum's telling me that I should reset my tolerance because it's like, why would you even get high if you can't get high? You know what I mean? So I'm like, yeah, you kind of have a point. So
He also told you to get better weed too.
yeah.
And maybe you should get find the super weed strain, but I guess then it would be harder to take a tolerance break. You would need a longer tolerance break if you increased.
Yeah, my
Yeah,
tolerance is already really, really high. Like really high. Like I sweat THC. Like I'm not even joking. Like if I sweat at night, like if I'm sweating my sleep, like I'll make a THC stain on my bed. Like quite literally THC oil comes out of my body.
My it's unfortunate with the tolerance and
Yeah, at this point, a percent of my blood has to be THC.
I have a high nicotine tolerance, and now I don't even feel nicotine.
Neither do I, my dude. It's sad. I don't get buzzed anymore. I don't get high anymore.
I don't even feel an unconscious a psychoactive thing from the nicotine. Even it just feels normal.
Yeah, you
nothing
used to feel
happened.
I'm guessing you used to feel lightheaded whenever you would take a hit or two, and now it's just kind of you just feel less anxious, I guess, or less on edge. Is that kind of how it is now, or?
Yeah, so I took in in America, I guess they're steeping tobacco, but in Norway there is snus, and which is really the same thing. And if one, it can, at least if one is having something one puts in one's mouth and one doesn't need to smoke it. It's easier to play guitar and stuff.
Just like feel more in tune with the notes and stuff, or like you can hear them better.
But no, it's more fun. That's about it.
Oh, that's fair. I mean, if you're having more fun, you're gonna get into it more, and just the energy of being into the music it will definitely improve on the quality.
It's also I do get tired from making music if I have kept at it for long, and sometimes to refresh I've taken nicotine, and then I went back at it again.
Hmm. So do you kind of like discipline yourself? Like you only take hits of your nicotine at certain times, or
No,
you just kind of hit
I
it whenever you
don't.
feel like it?
Yeah,
Same.
but I'm going to quit since I'm going to quit since right now I don't feel anything at all. So what's the point?
I wish I had that mindset. For me, it's just a distraction from pain. Even then, it's probably like I probably generate pain by being addicted to this. So it's like, I'm generating pain and getting rid of pain at the same time. So I probably should just try to cease being addicted. But, I'm not the best at controlling my habits. So when it comes down to it, I've quit before in the past. And then I just got bored and I had nothing to do. And I was just like, I kind of like it when I can do something to fill my lungs with like a cheap substance that gives me a little bit of buzz. But now I can't even get buzzes anymore, so I don't really know. I almost feels like I should probably quit, but quitting quitting kind of sucks. Like low key, I didn't smoke once for like 3 or 4 days straight when I was in Jamaica back in 2020, I think 2021 maybe, and I was angry. Like I got pissed off. Like I was an angry little fucker for like a day or two. Like I just was like pissed at everybody for no reason whatsoever, just because I didn't have nicotine in my system. So I'm definitely addicted to nicotine, and I definitely can go a few days without nicotine. But once I go a few days without nicotine, I become like a little angry bastard. That's for sure.
I am also curious as to your drunkenness level. You don't sound drunk, but I'm curious on your drunkenness level for some reason.
No, that's fair. I'm like a little lightheaded. Like I'm
No.
buzzed right now. Like I don't feel like I'm not wonky or anything, but I'm like buzzed. Like my head feels a little like weighty. Like my head feels like it has its own weight compared to my body, and kind of just is like rocking back and forth on like the T of my neck, just like woo. So like I'm definitely not sober right now, but I'm not drunk or anything. I'm just buzzed, feeling the healing beat. You know what I mean? Feeling good.
Yeah. I- Yeah, imagine it's good that you didn't take too much. What if you was blackout drunk and went on like a 9 hour long stream and you can't remember?
Yo, that would be funny. Yo, last night I don't know if you were no, you were asleep last night when I was streaming, but I was crossfaded last night. That was a pretty funny stream. If you go back to
Frustrated?
yeah, crossfaded just means like high and drunk at the same time. Crossed just means like one line and then another line intersecting. So it's like the high and the drunkenness intersecting, and then you just get really fucked up. Like I was a funny dude last night for some reason. I was just cracking jokes nonstop and talking with my brother and stuff. So if you want to ever watch like a video where I'm just like being a goofy motherfucker, watch yesterday's live stream with my brother in it. Like we were just smoking and having a goofy time, just talking about random shit. It was a wild night, honestly. I think I streamed for like 6 or 7 hours yesterday, so it was pretty wild.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do that whenever you feel like it. And there's no point of really checking it out. It's not like I've really talked about anything too important during this session or anything like that. I was just kind of hanging out with Soft Core Apple or Soft Apple Core, or whatever his name is, and a few other people. I think These Days Are Dead was in the chat last night a little bit. But yeah, we were basically just talking about random shit, like, so it wasn't really about antinatalism for the most part. Some of it was, but not all of it. Yesterday's stream went on for a long time though. Like, you were in the stream at one point and then you ducked out, and then I was still going for like another 3 hours. So yesterday was a long stream. How was your tan?
I'm good. I moved my blanket before the sun from there. I'll go over there now. So.
No shit.
But I did get a little bit of sun. I'm definitely warm. You know what I mean? Like feel my thigh right here.
I'm not gonna feel your thigh, but
Feel my
fair enough.
stomach right here.
Sure, okay. Wow, yeah, you're pretty warm.
I was gonna say don't touch my stomach because I thought my thigh would be easier than my stomach. And I was like,
I'm like, not touching another man's thigh. That's pretty gay.
It's pretty gay. Yeah, I thought about it.
It's like some Darian shit, like, yo, bro, squeeze my muscles, and I'm like, no, bro, I'm good. Pretty much. You and Darian should arm wrestle. You would definitely do it.
My shoulder would break.
Probably, but
My shoulder would break.
just use your left hand, bro.
My left hand's even worse brain.
Oh shit. Well, never mind.
Now that I put that brace on, now I feel my right arm's connected to my body, but my left arm isn't.
How the fuck does that work?
Because the brace, when I put it on, it like I gagged like that right there.
Bro.
Like when I push my arm in, I got pushed right here, and I pushed in back. I push back here and like this. You know what I mean? The brace does the same thing. But now that I don't have it on my left arm feels the same as all ones. But my right arm feels different now that I put that on. It's been like 2 months.
Interesting. Weird.
Yeah.
Wacky.
Yeah. And now that I sleep without it on, my arm feels really, really loose and different when I sleep. Like I don't like sleeping. Sleeping is scary.
Sleeping is weird.
Sleeping is scary. Right? If my
Hey,
arm
man.
gets dislocated while I'm asleep. So with the brace, I'm used to it right here, but I can move it to here.
Okay.
Moving it to here cuts off airflow. My nostril.
Interesting. That's weird. I don't know why it would cut off airflow with moving your arm, but fair enough.
That's why I think I breathe differently. Depending on the night, how I sleep at night, how clogged my nostrils will be averages the next day. Sometimes I can't breathe out. It switches.
It's weird. I don't know why it does that.
It's usually my nervous system.
The doctors have no clue why it does that.
They think I have
They think you have normal breathing.
yeah, well then I go to the doctor.
I mean,
I'll be like, why can't you breathe out of that one nose? And I'll be like, I don't know. It's always like that.
you're fine. You're good. It's like, are you sure about that? No. Yeah, American doctors are kind of bullshit, to be fair. So, I mean, it's kind of how it is.
It's like I even have still like pimple thing down there, the area. And they're like, oh, it's not. I really on an STD test this year, and they're like, it's not that. They're like, maybe until last year case was like athlete's shit or whatever. It's still not going. I'm just like, I don't have active anywhere in my body. My lower, which it does. Just like, we don't know what that is.
I don't know. Maybe you just need to take better showers or like work out less at the gym. I don't know. Fucking. No, fair enough. Yeah, I gotcha. Yo, bro, you say you're an egoist now as if you haven't been an egoist since like middle school, bro. I'm an egoist now. No, Colin, you just didn't know what the definition of egoism was when you were in middle school. You were always an ego. Yeah, I'm aware.
Also pretty smart though. But even when I was in middle school, people thought I was pretty educated for fucking middle school.
No, you're good at school shit. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, like I was school smart. Like I obviously knew I could get a job in middle school and compete with the fucking 40-year-old or go to dad's job and do his job. It's not like I.
I mean, it doesn't really take much
Exactly.
effort
It
to
doesn't
do a
take
physical
much
man,
to
physical labor job.
It really doesn't.
I mean,
Things that are really hard in this world is like bioanatomy because you don't really those are infrastructures that are set there. Then you can go into chemistry and you can go into computer science and physics, like metaphysics, and those things are all like future advanced things that are always progressing. But like those aren't things that people normally choose to progress on and follow up on and choose a lifelong journey of knowledge on those 5 subjects.
Drew's kind of useless in all honesty. Metaphysics and like all that shit's like useless bullcrap.
Physics and metaphysics.
Yeah, I mean, even physics though is kind of. I mean, physics is useful in terms of.
Centrifugal rotation. It's like if I was to launch a rocket off of this moon and I wanted it to go to Mars with the least amount of fuel, I'd want to launch it off of this moon, hit the moon, so where it launches off the moon and rotates around it a couple times, gains velocity, and then pursues off of it and it goes to Mars off of that velocity. That's all physics. Calculating where you're going to
Yeah.
at what angle, at what speed.
Yeah, but there's no really objective use to shooting a rocket into space. Like, how does that help humanity or
I mean,
animals?
like,
You know.
that doesn't really help humanity right now, but like supposedly, you know, the moon, we have carbon here. They have a carbon that's like carbon 12 there, or carbon 18 or something like that. That's why they have a carbon thing on Netflix. That was a huge hit this year. Mr. Fisher talked about it in 2019. If you were to get a chunk of carbon that was the size of my hand, it could cover all of Wisconsin in 10 years. That's serious.
Like, what does that mean? It's just like that dense or something.
It's that dense. It's better than nuclear. And there is a nuclear energy that's actually it can make a bomb, but it's not as big as a hand grenade.
So what they want to.
They don't use that nuclear power because it wasn't researched on when nuclear activity was being used because it's such a non-responsive nuclear power. So like nuclear, they would need huge nuclear plants for it because it's so like stable. But they'd also it would also create so much power. Like one little golf ball or penny size of that could power the whole entire world basically for like a year or so. It's literally insane. So there obviously is need because like electricity, not just here, it's available on like Mars, or like Moon, and then like we have other planets like Mars and like other things for like life forms and other biolife that we can even live there or bring back substances to make our life better here.
I mean, yeah, it can make our lives better here, but like, what is a good what is making a life better to you?
Not having global warming to where we can.
It's not having a problem.
Yeah, not like if we like look around and see a whole bunch of factories and they're all polluting, we know that's gonna.
Pollution's a problem. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like pollution, if we stop pollution and we stop like had clean water and good effective, if we had better like energy efficient systems, we'd be able to make more food and more clean water. It would just make for like a better planetary world. Like all the general needs would be, you know what I mean?
I mean, I know what you mean in terms of like, yeah, like obviously having unlimited energy would make a easier world.
You know what I mean? We can start building life back once we have like infinite energy. We can just do whatever.
I mean, yeah, we can do whatever in terms of human capabilities of like energy-based stuff,
Yeah.
but like, what's the? I mean, all the things you listed in terms of benefits are basically just removing a harm.
I know, Brain. I know.
So,
Brain, but
negative
you're
utilitarianism, bro.
But what's a negative when there's a whole life to live? Once you're put on that world, you kind of can live it. It's kind of like that. Sure, you might be.
Yeah, but it's all
negatives,
all
but
illusion, though.
benefits, or you could be living in 60 benefits, but is it 40 positives more than the 60 negatives?
No, there's no positive worth trading for a negative. Even if you had, no, I mean, it's quite literally just like objectively true. Like, you're not depriving your future self of anything by not having that by not experiencing pleasure in the future. You're not depriving your future self of anything. It's a completely different person than you are, you know.
Yeah, of course.
So,
But like, obviously, I still lost that, and I still want.
well, yeah, you still want that, but it's illogical. You can realize that it's illogical because it's not you that's wanting. It's a future version of you that's wanting this thing, and so Hey, bro, you just have to realize it's an illusion. I know, but death isn't bad for the ones who die, Colin. You're just you're being a fool to your biological instincts, bro. You just don't understand. Me and my brother arguing. I hate you too, Colin. Just kidding. We have a great household here. That's the best way to argue with people, is just let them back themselves into a corner. Use the Socratic method to be like, what do you believe? And then they say what they believe, and then you're like, but what about this? And then you just go further and further until they trap themselves, and then you're like, mwahaha, I win. Yo, I can tell the parents are so happy that I'm a vegan now. They don't have to buy food for me. They just like purposely like order from restaurants or like, I could order a vegan thing, or I could just not. I know. I'm just like, bruh. No, it's fair. Yeah, you're right. Fair enough. Not that they have an obligation. I mean, they kind of do have an obligation to feed me. I mean, they literally brought me into existence to inevitably suffer and die. So, I mean, the least they can do is feed me. But, apparently that's too much. So, oh, yeah.
Housing, car insurance, life insurance, dental insurance.
All which is required to function in modern society. Yes.
Yeah, otherwise you'd have to be paying for it.
Which they forced onto me because I didn't ask you
Yeah,
here.
that's like every single family.
Yeah, exactly. And every single family that has a kid,
Yeah,
every single kid, every single parent that has a biological kid.
One fucking kid, so you can spoil the fuck out of that kid, because our parents obviously worry about money in some financial ways, where they haven't had our huge childhood good to like where I
mean-
had to go to like Goodwill and shit like that, and where.
I mean, Goodwill is not that bad, but
Yeah, but when you're wearing like faded Under Armour shirts and shit like that, shit that has like cracks in it, and it's like the letters are falling off, it's like.
I mean that's fair. But that's
like,
also
bro,
somewhat of
like,
an
you look like
aesthetic.
you're fucking part of East Pier High School's slummiest population. Like,
I don't know
never
about
had
East
dress
Pier,
like that.
but fair
There's
enough.
Amazon shirts for like $6, and you can go to like Goodwill and spend that. It's like I'd rather, you know what I mean?
I mean, I know what you mean, but I don't think you're exaggerating how bad our childhood was. I mean,
It's not that bad, but like I'm not saying it was horrible. Like we were starving and like we didn't have any clothes. I'm just saying like they were just Jewish with their money, and they definitely money buys happiness. They
Yeah, I
have
mean,
all
yeah.
this money, but they refuse to buy their happiness. They're both depressed. They're both on the antidepressants.
Yo,
Both of them are gonna be depressed.
Christine's here. Just chill your volume down a little bit, bro. Hey, man, you're right, but at the same time, big chill. I'm not sure if Seb's still here, if he's just listening to me rant.
I just did some Wim Hof breathing.
Oh, I got you.
That felt good.
Did you hear my brother's conversation with me or no?
And I was not paying attention to it that well. I Wim Hof breathed.
No, that's fair. We were just talking about our childhood and bullshit like that, and obligations of parents to like feed their children and stuff like that.
I heard the argument. It's not like we were starving, but yeah, technically, you both were starving. Everybody starves every day a little bit, but I guess you meant you were not severely starving. That's always an argument people make, like it's not like it.
You can hear my brother yelling at the dog. I mean, you just need to close the door, Colin. Anyways, I'm not. Anyways, yeah. Yeah, when it comes down to it, yeah, our childhood is pretty good. Colin always exaggerates how bad our childhood has been in terms of like poverty or whatever. It's like we're not poor, we're middle class, but he basically is. He buys like Supreme and like Nike things that are worth like $500 and stuff. So it's like to him, wealth is a little bit different than what I view wealth is. Like literally, the majority of the planet lives off like $1 or $2 a day, you know. So for me, it's just like anybody in America is pretty much wealthy in comparison to like a lot of the third world. My brother, on the other hand, is just like, nah, bro. He basically is like, oh, this shirt has a stain on it, therefore it's no longer good. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure it's still functional. But yeah, we have disagreements about like what our childhood was like. I think it was pretty good from an objective point of view, but Colin thinks it was objectively bad, you know, or whatever. And I'm like, I don't know about that one. Colin's just kind of a little bit of a elitist, not really, but kind of. Do you have any siblings or no?
I have a sibling,
Brother or sister?
brother,
Is he older or younger?
younger, younger,
Hmm.
and he's yeah, my brother is actually an astronaut. Not no, he isn't.
Oh, your brother's an astronaut?
No,
Oh, no. Okay. Hmm.
I also have a half sister.
Are any of your siblings also antinatalists at all, or no?
No,
No? Have you tried convincing them before, or?
yeah, I have the bad thing about convincing them is that then then my parents heard about it, and it doesn't seem like my father cared one bit, at least, uh, i- about any of that sort of stuff. But
Hmm. I mean,
my brother, brother was. I didn't like how he commented on my channel. Said he needs help. He is talking about antinatalism. But if I'm being honest, what I yeah, so I'm going to die, and I suspect it's not going to be fun. And I'm supposed to not think, and everybody has to do that and experience bad stuff, and I'm supposed to not talk about how being born is bad and how people shouldn't be born and why people shouldn't breathe and stuff. And but my brother didn't seem to understand any of that.
hmm. Is he just like a moral nihilist or moral subjectivist, or does he like believe in right and wrong and stuff like that? Or
I think he does,
okay, so he
but
believes in right and wrong, but he doesn't believe
I
in.
don't talk much to my brother. There was one time I said okay and cool, and then he made fun of me and said, "Oh, this is the Sebastian language." And no, I have a feeling my brother really doesn't want to talk to me all that much, so I don't talk to him.
No, that's completely fair. I mean, if my brother didn't want to talk to me, I wouldn't talk to him very much either. But he likes me for some reason or another. So My brother's not an antinatalist. No one in my family is. Well, I guess my mom kind of thinks antinatalism's valid to some extent or another. I don't know if I'd consider her an antinatalist per se, but I think I've kind of convinced my mom it's wrong to bring new people into existence, but I haven't convinced her that life is bad in and of itself, you know? I've basically convinced her of the Benatarian asymmetry that, like, even if life is good on the whole, it's still not worth bringing people into existence, you know? I've convinced my mom of that, I think, but I haven't convinced anybody else in my family of that. My dad's really Christian, and my brother, he's a realist, supposedly, but that basically just means he's a moral anti-realist, meaning, like, you know, my brother basically thinks you can exploit whoever the fuck you want, doesn't matter, you know, the world's just chaos and stuff, you know, you can just kill a mofo, and as long as you don't get caught, you know, pretty much, like, it's perfectly fine, you know, you can basically manipulate people in any way in Colin's point of view, and it's completely cool so long as, like, you get away with it, you know, and, you know, yeah, Colin's a piece of shit. He's basically, like, he basically just looked at me when I was a big old psychopath and was just like, you know what, that's correct, and I'm like, I mean, to be fair, Colin, we have, like, psychopathic genes, like, riddled throughout our family, so it's probably not even from my influence, it's probably just, you know, the family genes being shitty as fuck, but yeah, my brother is kind of a piece of shit, so. He's a good brother, but in terms of, like, being a human being, he's kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah, when I think of I don't like to think too much about like family, because then I don't like to be reminded about how the family, like my family, that both my father and my mother, that they procreated and had a bunch of offsprings that felt awful sensations. It's
Do you interact with your parents very much then? Not really, or?
my mother isn't that talkative. I would have talked to her more if she was more talkative.
Hmm. Wait, how old are you, by the way?
25.
25? Okay, I'm 23 and a half. Okay. Interesting. Hmm. When do you think your relationship with, like, your brother shifted to what it is today?
Hmm. Um.
If you don't want to answer that, that's completely fine. But
I don't think I'll answer that.
no, that's cool. That's, yeah. Let's see. I'll transition the subject to. Let's go on YouTube for a minute here. Let's find a new subject to talk about. I've been talking about family for a little bit because my brother in the room. I don't really know what to talk about at the moment. Let's see. Collab video. Wait a minute. What the fuck?
Huh?
I can't believe Cosmic Skeptic did the. Oh, he's talking about
What? Did he just say
Peter
that?
Singer.
Is this the same Alex? This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe this.
I can't believe this.
Hello, everyone. Welcome
Yeah,
to this
no, right.
video. So, YouTuber Alex O'Connor, Cosmic Skeptic, has recently uploaded a podcast with Peter Singer,
Podcast.
philosopher. He wrote the book Animal Liberation. I'm pretty sure that book is what influenced Cosmic Skeptic to go vegan. view. Peter Singer is a utilitarian, quite a famous humane killing. So let's go.
You said you could imagine a world in which people mostly eat plant-based food.
I've already watched the Alex O'Connor video. I'm not gonna watch it again through Joey Carbstrong's perspective, though I'm sure it's interesting either way. Joey Carbstrong is a vegan, so anybody who's watching this is vegan and hasn't somehow stumbled across Joey's channel, subscribe. He's a pretty cool dude. Let's see. Why a strive for sexual immortality? Perpetual Pleasurist always has like the fucking weirdest titles. Oh my god. Well, let's take a gander. Watch later. Let's find something to talk about. Let's give us a good old zoom.
I guess I could try coming up with a topic too.
Yeah, if you think of anything, let me know. Because I'm down to talk about pretty much anything. It's just, you know, I don't know what to talk about that hasn't been talked about before. Like,
What are your thoughts? I guess this isn't like related to antinatalism necessarily, but there is this thought I had about venting, and I
venting.
also believes that a lot of the times doing venting is bad because one reminds oneself of bad things. One is more conscious of bad things if one vents. Or sometimes I guess it wouldn't really matter if one vented or not if one is that aware of it already.
Yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what I was thinking too. Like, if you're already aware of your stress, then venting could be a good way to get it off your chest in a way where it's like kind of taking your load and putting it on someone else a little bit, you know, and then they could pontificate with you. But yeah, when it comes down to it, yeah, it's kind of the risk that you're taking is if you vent, you're going to either remind yourself of the anger and make yourself more angry, or you're going to, you know, potentially relieve that burden from yourself. But it's kind of, who knows? Yo.
What did you say again?
I'm just talking to my mom. Sorry about that.
I try to do. I try to keep the thoughts I have. I try to filter out like bad thoughts and thoughts that like if one is in a depressed mind state, one tends to think depressing thoughts, and is one thinking, and that can contribute to feeling more depressed. So I tend to try to not think about depressing thoughts, and that also includes not talking about some depressing personal things like with people I talk to. I never, even people I talked to for a long time, years, I never mention any depressing things that has happened to me, because like if I did that, I would only feel worse, and they would feel worse, and like I think the point of talking to people is to have fun, stave off boredom, and in cases like this where we're talking about antinatalism, we can also prevent suffering by convincing people, perhaps. Oh, you're muted.
Oh, my bad. Yeah, I 100% agree. The only purpose of talking to people is really just to, from a productive sense, to reduce suffering, but then from an egoistic perspective, just to distract yourself. So talking to other people and like about negative subjects for no real good reason, yeah, it's just generating pain for no reason. So I agree. Yeah, the purpose of talking to people is to distract yourself or to do something productive, like talk about antinatalism. Do you have a lot of friends in real life that you talk about antinatalism with quite a bit, or?
One person.
Okay, awesome. Is he convinced of antinatalism, or is she convinced of antinatalism?
Yeah, he's convinced of antinatalism.
Awesome. Did you convince him, or was he already like convinced before?
He was already convinced. We have talked.
Interesting.
We have been friends for a while, and it's the same friend who made that Bird Sucks music video.
Oh, okay, awesome. I got you. The one that was on the stream a little bit a couple of days ago.
No, not
Oh, different one.
that. No. It
Okay.
was, but that's only friend I have in real life. But on the internet, I have a couple of friends I talk to.
Awesome.
Yes. I think purely for like being an anti-natalist is really one is mostly putting a negative burden upon oneself, except for a couple of things, like not having to worry about having offsprings for one, and two, one can meet some friends
Yeah.
and stuff. But apart from that, I think being an antinatalist, apart from those two things, is like it is negative for the individual. Apart from those two things, but if one was a natalist and one had a child who would be like Jeffrey Dahmer or something, then then if one was if that would have happened if one was an atheist, and I guess then as an anti-natalist one prevented some suffering one's personal life by being an anti-natalist.
Yeah.
I tend to how I tend to try to filter out antinatalism in my mind too. That sometimes I can talk about it, but I don't like to dwell about how it's not good to be born and how other people are born into conditions of misery. Yeah, it pops up without my intention, but I try to limit it, but there will always be awareness of stuff like that. And I guess about making songs about antinatalism, it can, if one already is. I heard that some people has commented or either talked to me through the internet in voice chat that it has helped them. Uh, and so that's also a reason I make some songs about antinatalism. It, yeah. It's a reason I didn't know before when I started out. It was like I thought if I'm going to make so many songs, I might as well turn them into like activism songs. But yeah,
No, I kind of relate to that. Yeah, just like the desire to do things that are good in terms of like antinatalism and stuff like that, but also the desire to like avoid causing harm to yourself by thinking about antinatalism too much. It's a difficult thing to balance out, that's for sure. Because I mean, like you have a duty to prevent suffering, so you have a duty to like spread the antinatalism due to like negative utilitarianism. But at the same time, negative utilitarianism also implies you want to suffer to the minimum yourself, you know. So it's kind of like, how does one go about being as stoic as possible while also still spreading the message in an effective way? It's difficult to do. I mean, if you're like me and you're pretty much like a psychopath of some sort, then it's a little bit easier. But like, I don't know how I'd recommend it to like people who are not psychopathic. To like, you'll like just be like, oh yeah, I'll like spread anti-natalism without being sad or angry and frustrated at the world. Like it's a difficult thing to manage. Like even myself, I get frustrated and angry at the world. So it's like, and I have pretty low neuroticism. So I don't know.
It does seem like some sort of. I don't know how one would go about. I guess one can. If one tries to block it out of one's mind and stuff and see the world and actively try to not see the world as some sort of hell, one can be less motivated to do activism too. But if one feels too depressed to even do activism, uh, then one want to do it anyway. It seems like it's tricky. But something one can do, like, could do it in a way that is fun for oneself. I, I guess.
No, I guess that's kind of how I try to do it as much as possible in terms of my activism. Like I just try to have fun while I do it, or like minimize my pain. Like I'll try to like listen to music while I'm doing activism, or listen to YouTube videos, or as I did today because I couldn't have my earbuds, I decided to just stream and talk to you guys live while I was walking around. Anything to basically take my mind off the fact that I'm, basically just being a shell of a human being who's just like propagating an ideology. Anything to take myself off the pain. So while doing productive things at the same time. So it's like, yeah, trying to find ways to do activism while also having fun is really important to minimize one's own suffering. It's just a really difficult thing to manage. Like walking around is not fun. Having sore feet's not fun. So it's difficult, but it's manageable. I guess. Marquise de Sade. Skip that. I've already watched these two videos. Let's remove them. The nasty ones from Promortalism by Blaze. That's a good video. Still sad that Blaze took his own life. It's a shame. He was a really good YouTuber. Truth Isn't Mystical. I've already seen that one. Let's remove that. What the hell is this? 35 seconds long.
Wow.
Yeah, really
Yeah,
sorry.
madam always makes that sound after
Yeah.
every video, like wow.
All right, guys. Sounds like Wario from Mario.
All the excuses I could make that I shouldn't be making this video, but I'm going to make it. I like this subject. It's this stupid content ethics crap, or this value ethics, and it gets into this whole conversation about what's more important, what you think you're doing or what you're actually doing. And yeah, and it even gets into this game theory nonsense, which is just absolute nonsense. And even worse.
That was a really weird video. 32 seconds long and almost nothing.
Does anyone want to debate?
I don't know why that was on my playlist. That's weird. pause that. Let's remove the Izok gap from my playlist. That's just a really weird video. 35 seconds long. I don't think there was really anything of substance there. But fair enough. Oh, I'm at the end of my playlist. Fuck. I don't know what I want to watch, though. What is the meaning of an ethical life? Philosopher Peter Singer. This is just short, right?
What does it mean to live an ethical life?
I asked them to think about the impact,
Oh, fuck.
the consequences of their actions, what they can do to make the world a better place than it would have been if they hadn't lived in it.
Yeah, I'm curious what he means by a better place if they haven't lived in it. Like,
Isn't that make it a better? It seems straightforward, but what does he mean by good to him? Is it? I guess maybe that's what it's unclear.
yeah, Peter Singer's a utilitarian, like a classic utilitarian. So I assume he means by good, like the promoting of pleasure and stuff like that. I just want to know what he means by pleasure. Like everybody claims that there's like this good thing, this pleasure thing in the universe, but they can't really point to anything that's like pleasurable. That's not essentially like just a sensation that's a deprivation of pain, like a ceasing of pain that feels good.
I guess if one did a drug for the first time, wouldn't that be?
Yeah, probably. I feel like that could be like a potentially a pure pleasure. But I guess like it really depends. Like if you look at heroin, like what is heroin? Heroin's an opioid. Opioids block pain receptors, But heroin feels really, really, really good to use. But really what it's doing is just numbing you, like blocking your pain receptors and stuff. So it's like a lot of the most pleasurable sensations are kind of just like numbing sensations. Like opioids make you feel really good, but it's just like blocking pain receptors, and discomfort receptors. So it's like a lot of the most pleasurable sensations are like relieving pains. So it's like even then I'm not entirely sure. Like potentially even a drug might be a relief from subconscious negative sensations. Though I would say like a lot of it probably is like it binds to like the certain molecule like receptors in your brain that releases serotonin and dopamine, so it makes you feel really good. But even then, it's like, yeah, like why is it that makes you feel so good? Like if you have to like really go to the bathroom and you like hold in a piss for a long time, and then you finally go to the bathroom, like it feels really good to like you like get like a tingle up your arms and stuff, and you're like, oh, just the relief of going to the bathroom after holding in it. And I feel like that's kind of what it's like to do like heroin or something like that. I mean, I don't know. I've never done heroin. But when it comes down to it, like, I imagine a lot of sensations that we think might be pleasurable might not be per se. Even if they are, though, it's kind of like what's the cost to those like sensations. But yeah, it's like most sensations I think are completely illusory. And it's kind of like I'd have to ask Peter Singer, like, if pleasure is like a drug sensation, like, is that what he wants to go for? Is that what he's aiming for? Like, all of us to be drugged up, essentially, I don't think that's a good way for the humanity to go, So, it's interesting. But I want to know what Peter Singer thinks about pleasure a little bit more, like how he explains pleasure, like what is a good life. But this is just a short.
There are all sorts of choices that you have to make about how you're going to live. So for me to live an ethical life, it's not enough just to say, I'm going to obey some simple moral rules like don't steal, don't cheat, don't hurt other people. You have to think also about what can I do positively given the advantages that I have and the problems that we have in the world.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't that informative actually.
Yeah, it wasn't very that informative. It was just kind of like a short opinion piece on Peter Singer, I guess. You know a lot about Peter Singer or no?
No, I don't.
Oh, that's fair. I've read one of his books, Animal Liberation. So I'm quite a fan of Peter Singer, but he is a classical utilitarian, so I have major disagreements with him. I like Peter Singer because he is kind of like the founder of the animal liberation movement and like animal rights and stuff like that. Not that I believe in rights, but like I do think it's an important discussion to have, and so like I respect Peter Singer. I just think he has a lot of. He's really close. He's really close to negative utilitarianism, like really close. He's almost there, but for some reason he just stays in the utilitarian department, and there's a lot of costs to that I don't accept. So I like Peter Singer, but
The classical utilitarianism is strange. They have this arbitrary limit for when pain can outweigh suffering, and when pain, suffering can outweigh pressure, and when pressure can outweigh suffering. They have this weird arbitrary limit about when pressure can outweigh, yeah, when the things can outweigh each other. And how do they come to that conclusion? How do they come to a conclusion when and I think how they come to the conclusion is it's like indoctrination. They are taught to taught a certain way that blowing up the world is bad because then this and that. Yeah, I don't know what I was going to say. I think I just forced myself to try to come up with something.
no, that's completely fair. I do that sometimes too.
Yeah, I think it helps to force oneself to come up with something, because then one might come up with something, but if one doesn't, then
No
it's
difference.
like if one doesn't try something, then one will always fail.
Hmm.
So therefore, I try to come up with points, but even though the point might not be that good, or it might not even be a point that I can finish.
No, that's completely.
But I think maybe the first part of what I said about they have this the classical utilitarians, they have this limit of when pain can outweigh suffering, and when suffering can outweigh pressure, and when pressure can outweigh suffering. But they, they don't have a clear answer on when both things can outweigh each other, and how much pressure it takes or how much suffering it takes. Uh, and yet, even though they don't really have the answer of how much pleasure it takes to outweigh suffering, they are very confident. They are very confident that negative utilitarianism is wrong. I find that strange for someone who can pinpoint exactly when pleasure outweighs suffering to 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 think of negative utilitarianism as a very strange thing. There are certain scenarios where I would say this type of suffering outweighs pressure, and so but why nitpick about that? Why not just hold that view all the time? It would be more consistent with their beliefs.
No, I got you. Yeah, it would be a lot more consistent. I don't know why they do that.
But then again, I don't think. I think types of argumentation where one tries to make the person be inconsistent, and like a reduction absurdum and stuff. even though things might seem absurd, doesn't mean it's wrong. So for some, antinatalism might seem absurd, and people use the reduction absurdum and say, but if you are a negative utilitarian, wouldn't you blow up the world? That's absurd. And so up that people find things absurd, it is a subjective thing. It's I don't think it can be a good way to convince people, to make people look absurd, make certain views look absurd, but it doesn't equate to fact. Facts are coming to a fact.
Do you think there's a major flaw with utilitarianism in general, or?
Yeah, I guess it's the whole homeless thing. If one is utilitarian, one could excuse homeless and say that. I wonder if the person who wrote homeless, Ursula Le Guin, was an antinatalist, possibly.
That would be a good question, yeah. If they were antinatalists or negative utilitarians of sort, something like that, or if they were just deontologically leaning in the antinatalist direction. But yeah, I mean, 100%, I agree. It's
Yeah, the flaw with utilitarianism is that it excuses a lot of bad behavior, and it can be used to excuse exploitation. And there's not an ethical duty to, like you said, the Karl Popper argument, to give a rock just a lot of pressure, but there is an ethical duty to give to not make the rock experience
pain.
any suffering. But maybe it would be interesting to examine that argument. But
I'm curious. I mean, what's your thoughts on the negative versus utility argument? Because, like, when it comes to like something like, I don't know, rape or murder, for example, one might argue that rape is wrong because it causes unnecessary suffering, and if you're doing it for the cases of pleasure, that's not justified. Essentially, like raping someone to just get an orgasm is not justified ever. And negative utilitarians be like, yeah, of course. But there's also the argument of like, what if someone is like sexually deprived and they're feeling pain from being sexually deprived? Is that similar in your opinion, or is that like potentially that like the pain is different than the pleasure? Like the pain of being deprived is more value than like an orgasm, essentially. So like they're
yeah,
actually completely different questions, basically.
I think the pain of being deprived would be the only thing that matters to me. Uh, in us, it depends. It's like it, it, if one can do something, hypothetically, if one can do something awful to someone and that could make reduce net suffering, then that is a better thing. But practically, it doesn't work like that. And
Yeah, I agree. In terms of legality, it's different, but yeah, in terms of actual right and wrong, yeah, I agree. Yeah, it's interesting because I was just wondering if you agreed with me on that because I 100% agree because I've had like philosophy classes and they're like, well, what about the utility monster, you know? And then what about a negative utility monster? I'm willing to accept the negative utility monster, but I'm not willing to accept the utility monster. The utility monster is basically just like if like some individual god being got like a tremendous amount of pleasure from the suffering of the world, like more pleasure than the amount of suffering that would occur, then from a utilitarian standpoint, it would be like, yeah, you should have everybody suffer so that the utility monster feels good. But then there's a negative utilitarian monster, which is basically like, if this being, instead of feeling good, it quite literally suffers so long as other people aren't suffering. But if other people suffer, then itself doesn't suffer, but it would suffer like a greater quantity than like the population on the whole. So basically, like, yeah, I 100% agree. Like, I've had that conundrum, like, brought up to me in philosophy class, and I'm like, no, I think, like, yeah, a greater amount of suffering is inherently different than pleasure. And the fact that the greater amount of suffering would imply that you're allowed to cause suffering to remove a greater suffering. But when it comes to pleasure, there's no justifiable case where it's, like, willing to inflict a pleasure for a pain in exchange. So I'm glad you agree. I mean, I was just wondering if you were in the same mindset as myself, and you are. So
Yeah, but to me, it's not like I'm not thinking like this because of some arguments. It seems that I'm just thinking like that because the other alternative would be too fucked up.
no, that's fair. Yeah. The difference in brains, one's just too fucked up and the other one's just like logic of like deprivation, yeah, our brains are different, but they come to the same conclusion for different reasons. Yours is from affective empathy and mine's from cognitive empathy, but we both come to the same conclusion. So that's really cool, actually.
What have you heard any arguments of what people say against that Karl Popper argument? One wouldn't give. One wouldn't. Uh, I wonder if you've heard anybody give like a counter argument to that. Like like it's one doesn't have an ethical duty to give a rock pleasure, but one has an ethical duty to prevent it from experiencing suffering. In like philosophy discussions and stuff. What do people say about that? If
I don't know. I'm gonna definitely bring that up in ethics next semester about like negative utilitarianism and like our applications. Like, if we had to push a button and it was like prevent a rock from suffering or make a rock feel good, which button would you choose to press? I feel like most people would feel like they have to press the one that prevents pain over the one that just promotes pleasure. All things being equal, like say like it adds 10 pain points in one button, or it adds 10 pleasure points in the other button. Like, I feel like most people would be like, no, I have to push the button that removes the 10 pain points. So what I've seen philosophy so far is that people all tend to be negative utilitarians, but they just don't realize they're negative utilitarians. Most people tend to be like really involved in like most people tend to care about suffering reduction and suffering prevention over the promotion of pleasure, but they don't realize that they still are utilitarians or they're deontologically leaning, but they just can't connect the dots in their brain that they're actually negative utilitarians, but don't realize it. And it's unfortunate, but yeah, I've noticed that's quite the case. Like, it's kind of a meme. Like I'll literally be in the back of the classroom, like, smiling as people are writing on the board, like, why is it okay to lie? And then people are just like writing down a bunch of different reasons that involve like prevention of suffering and stuff like that, and I'm just like sitting in the back of them smiling the whole time, like negative utilitarianism. And then the teacher just was looking at me like, oh boy, Brand's coming at, he's ready. And I like raise my hand, and the teacher's just like, Brand, and I'm like, you already know what I'm gonna say. And he's like, yes, I do. Yeah, it's just like, you've seen now. If you know what's on the board, everybody's referring to the justifications for lying as being things that prevent greater amount of pain for themselves or other beings. Blah blah blah. So yeah, when it comes down to it, I think, yeah, I mean, people when if you phrase it in the frame of like, are you a deontologist or are you a consequentialist, people are usually going to say, I'm a deontologist. And then if you go, are you a negative consequentialist or are you a consequentialist? They're going to be like, I'm a consequentialist. But if you just pressure them from a Socratic point of view of being like, what do you believe? Why do you believe this? Why do you think that's right? Why do you think that's wrong? You pretty much will push them into negative utilitarianism really, really fast. They just don't realize that that's what you're doing to them. So that's kind of what I've noticed. People are negative utilitarians, they just don't realize it.
I don't know if they really are, because if they were, they would. If one could tell them that reproduction is bad, and they would agree. I don't know if they really are.
I think when it comes to like very things that counter the biological urge, it's like a little bit different. But if you like ask someone like a question that's like I don't know, do you have an obligation to work for the community in order to promote art or something like that, like something that makes people feel good in the community, but do you have an obligation to work your ass off in order to like promote something that makes people feel good? Most people would say no, we don't have an obligation to cause ourselves pain to make another person feel good. And I'd say like it's very similar to like a bunch of other topics as well. But when it comes to like things that are deeply biologically ingrained, such as like procreation or death, I think it's a little bit different. Because when it comes to birth and death, for some reason, it's like this weird thing where people just do not process birth and death in proper ways. Like it's just indoctrinated into them. They're like, birth is good, death is bad. But when it comes down to like pain and pleasure, they seem to recognize there are asymmetries between the two of them, and that we have obligations to prevent pain over promoting pleasure. But for some reason, when it comes to death and birth, I've noticed people, for some odd reason, really believe that there's that birth is good and death is bad, regardless of like the consequences of the actions. I mean, I've also noticed, I guess, I forgot what I was gonna say. I'll let you respond to what I was saying. My bad.
It seems like they are negative utilitarians, so unless it fucks with how they view their life and life as a whole.
Yeah, once it starts interfering with the directions that they plan to go with life, then it suddenly becomes like, oh shit, negative utilitarianism has to be wrong. But when it comes down to it, negative utilitarianism generally aligns with most things we believe in terms of like our obligations to people, like self-defense. Like you can kill another person because they're probably going to be a bad person who's going to attack other people. So even though you're taking a life to defend your life, and it's just the equivalent exchange of one life for another life, the person who's assaulting you is a bad person, and like in general. And so like your right to defend yourself is solely because one person's a better person than the other. So like a lot of defenses of like general conundrums we have in ethics typically lean in the negative utilitarian direction, I think. It's just like, yeah, as you said, it happens that like once you go and be like, oh, well, maybe it wasn't a good thing you're born. And then they're like, wait a minute, I feel like it was a good thing that I'm born. This can't be right. Or like they're like, death isn't bad, death is actually good. It's better if we die as fast as we can. Evolutionary, that goes against everything that's programmed into us. So people are going to be like, whoa, that's not correct. There's no way that, pain and pleasure are equal in value. It's not like, pain has more value than pleasure. But then if you question them on other things, yeah, you will realize that in most people's minds, pain does have more value than pleasure, at least in terms of like inflicting it on other people.
I want to thought about the Karl Popper argument, like there's an ethical obligation to prevent suffering, but no ethical obligation to create pleasure. But I guess it's more of but it doesn't. But it I guess it's more of a a statement, and now when I think about it, it doesn't really explain why. So if someone asks you why is there an ethical obligation to prevent suffering but no ethical obligation to create pleasure, how would you respond to that? Oh, you're muted.
Oh, my bad. My bad. I would have to respond to that by saying, yeah, I don't think the traditional Benatarian asymmetry does a great job at explaining this, just because the traditional Benatarian asymmetry just implies that, like, oh, the future selves, you know, I guess, like, a non-existent person can't be deprived, but you'd also say the same thing about suffering. Like, you can't, you know, inflict suffering on a non-existent person. So I guess I'd have to go the route different than Benatar and say what I usually say, which is identity nihilism and promortalism, basically. I just have to say that, like, hey, there is no continued sense of self. In terms of your future suffering, you're basically just unnecessarily inflicting suffering upon a future being who didn't ask for any of the future things. Like, it's not you that you're talking to. So you desire future pleasures and you desire to avoid future pains, but you're just kind of projecting yourself into the future. But this future self that is going to be there in reality isn't actually going to be you. So you're actually kind of imposing, I guess, unnecessary harm upon a different person. But then you could also say you're imposing unnecessary pleasure upon a different person. So I don't know how you would say that, like, pleasure objectively has less value than pain, I guess, other than just, like, we objectively experience it as such, I guess. But yeah, I don't know how you would explain that in the proper way, to being like, we experience pain as having more intensity than we do with pleasure. I guess you just have to go the Benatarian route of being like, hey, would you accept the heights of pain for the heights of pleasure? And would you accept that for, like, a long duration, you know, and stuff like that, like an equal duration? I feel like most people would say no. So it's just like an intuition thing, honestly. And I don't know how you would do that from a logical perspective, really.
Yeah, yeah, I think if one did that, unfortunately, it's one would give people like two options and try to convince them not to pick it up. So the thing that seems absurd, but as I talked about earlier, unfortunately, I don't think what is absurd equates what is a fact. But to me, I have this very strong conviction that 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 pain is what really matters, and one should prevent that. And
Same. I mean,
yeah, well, I've had that strong conviction for a while. But when I think about it, if I were to be honest, and someone asked me can you say with words why pain has more of a negative value than pleasure has has like a like positive value, then I wouldn't be able to respond to that, and that sucks. I wish I could, but I can't.
same. I don't know either. I mean, like, when it comes down to it, it's like, I think it has something to do with, like, other people, because, like, me myself, I think I could be like, yeah, man, I would exchange pleasure for pain. But when it comes down to it, I think if you realize that other people are just as important as yourself, and then you kind of apply, like, what if this isn't me that I'm reflecting on? Like, what if this is someone else, and someone that I genuinely care about? Like, would it be possible, like, for me to say I truly care about someone and at the same time be like, yeah, I'm willing to hurt you in order to make myself feel better? Or I'm willing to, like, hurt you because I assume that you might feel better in the end in terms of, like, pleasure-based things. And I think most people would say, like, no, it's not a truly healthy or productive or acceptable form of a relationship to inflict pain on another person, like a friend, someone you consider a good person that you're like a good acquaintance with, like a socially acceptable relationship. I don't think people would accept that the relationship is mutual if you inflict pain on another person and then get pleasure from that. But I don't really know how you would explain that as being like bad from an ethical point of view. I guess like it just seems like intuitionally, like from a biological evolutionary point of view, like exploitative or like unequal, like not balanced, I guess. um, I don't know how you would explain that. Yeah, because it just seems like an unbalanced relationship, like one-sided essentially. But yeah, I don't know how you'd explain that. Like, for me, it's like I began to care about suffering when I began to care about Shamira's suffering, essentially. Like, once I began to care about her pain and wanting her pain to be prevented more than I care about my own comfort and happiness, that was when I think I began to, like, prioritize suffering as actually, like, having value. And I don't know how you would, like, put that into words that, like, almost feel like how you define morality. I guess to define morality is what you ought to do or ought not to do in regards to another person's well-being, but also maybe your own well-being, because I guess utility applies both. So, but it also kind of seems like, yeah, it does apply both. I don't know. Hmm. I'll have to pontificate on that in the future. But yeah, I don't exactly know how you would describe in a logical way, like the fact that other people's pain seems to have more value than one's own pain, at least in terms of like inflicting on another person. Like, you can inflict pain on yourself, and whatever reason you justify that, it may or may not be true. Like, it may be logical to inflict pain upon yourself for some reason. I don't know why, but it might be. But inflicting pain on another person seems like less logical. Like, if you're inflicting pain upon yourself to like, and you get off to it or something like that, like you generally experience pleasure. It seems to me like maybe that could be like from a utilitarian, but not negative utilitarian point of view, like justifiable. But even from like a utilitarian point of view, it seems as if like inflicting pain on another person to experience pleasure of your own kind of seems like it's like potentially getting into gray areas where it's like, oh well, how does the other person subjectively experience that pain, and how do I subjectively experience that pleasure and all that stuff? And they get into like risk, and I think that's like a big thing about utilitarianism is just risk. So I don't know how you would objectively be like pain equals more value than pleasure, but I think it's a general claim that we can make is that like in terms of risk we prioritize pain over pleasure, but I don't know how you would justify that in terms of like actions. I don't know how you would justify it, but it does seem to be a natural phenomenon that's universal between experience of people like on the mainstream, that people do prioritize pain prevention of people they care about over the pleasure production of their own self.
Yeah, one can point to like how other people act and how what seems what and stuff and what people value and stuff, but I feel like hmm, but if what if people for some reason valued to not feel pleasure and to experience pain or something? I don't know. Maybe it's a silly point. I haven't made that point before, but
I don't know. I mean, to me, it almost seems like, from a psychological hedonism perspective, like all you can feel is pleasure or pain. So if you valued the production of pain, it would be because somehow the production of pain reduces like a greater mental pain. You know, like if you by causing physical pain, it somehow reduces like a greater mental pain, and that I think would be justifiable. But I don't think it would be possible for a society to even value pain in and of itself without, having some type of pain reduction derived from it. Otherwise, it just seems like counterintuitive, I guess. Like it seems like they're liking something that's impossible to like. Like it seems like it's like contradictory in a statement like pain
yeah,
is something you ought to
that's
avoid.
right.
Yeah, it seems like pain is like a sensation, like an empirical sensation that's like worth avoiding or like is perceived as something that ought to be avoided. So like if you pursue what ought to be avoided from a sensation perspective, it would be because you would objectively be reducing a greater sensation of pain, maybe unconsciously. But that would be like the only justification I think for like a society that would be like pro pain, be somehow if it really reduced a greater psychological pain. But I don't think it would be logically possible for any society to crave pain in and of itself. I don't think.
Hmm. Yeah, the reason I made that point is what one can say people that unexplained to them that they're about the motivation of pain um and stuff, and he kind of used that as some kind of example why pain should be prioritized more than pleasure and appeal to their intuition. But a lot of hmm, so that's so if
I don't know, it almost seems like a definitional thing, you know what I mean? Like the definition of pain is something that like empiricism meaning like sensations, like ought to be avoided. Like pain is essentially a sensation that we perceive as being worth avoiding, essentially. And pleasure is a sensation we perceive as being worth pursuing. So basically, like whenever a sensation occurs, we either release like dopamine and serotonin, or like which is the pleasure response, or whatever response is whatever chemical is released when pain occurs. I don't know what that is, but whatever response or signal occurs when pain occurs is like the bad thing, and then when something good occurs, like we produce serotonin and dopamine and stuff, and that's like the good thing. But yeah, I don't really know. Huh.
yeah, I tried to make some points, but I feel I failed and
Same.
I can't really put it into words. And but yeah, I think it. I want to reiterate that it sucks that that I that you are not be able to explain with words why pain sh, sh, is more valuable than pleasure, but I guess it's because it's like sensations that one has to experience. Maybe the reason why one can't explain it with words is the same reason as to why one can't explain with words why pain is bad too. Maybe it has something to maybe those two things are similar in that way. That's still my conviction that pain is bad and that pain is more valuable as a thing than pleasure is a very strong conviction I have on. But I guess but and I'm still negative utilitarian for reasons like from my own experiences and stuff.
No, I 100% agree. Yeah, I'm still a negative utilitarian because it does seem to me that, like, from what I've experienced, that pleasure really has almost no value to me. It doesn't really do much for me. Like, I feel good, so what? It's like it's not me feeling good now doesn't really have any reason for why I should continue to go on tomorrow and feel good tomorrow. But the pain that I feel today is quite bad, and it does seem that the an instinctual drive, like, oh, I do not want to feel more of this pain in the future, like that is quite a horrible thing that ought to be avoided. So yeah, I 100% agree. It's like I can't put it into words, but in terms of like my experiences, it does seem like pain is something that I really would not want to experience even into the future. But pleasure is something that I can kind of just take or leave. It just seems kind of like meh.
I also feel that at the like at the core of all anti-natalist arguments, like a lot of them, that the reason it's
No, not today. No, I'm just talking about my brother. My bad.
uh, I guess no matter what kind of argument one says, they could still the natalist can still say pleasure though, and when one attempts to even say why pain is more valuable than pleasure, then it seems one can't, and unfortunately, that sucks.
Yeah, and I have a feeling we probably will never be able to solve that problem. I think it kind of just comes down to as I forgot who said it, but someone said it like you have to appeal to like emotions more than you appeal to like logical arguments. Because logical arguments just frankly are kind of inconsistent. I mean, they just never really bubble out to be the way you want them to be. I mean, logical nihilism is like a thing. I'm not sure if I'm a logical nihilist or not, but when it comes down to it, yeah, it's really difficult to put words into a way that like can express properly.
Maybe. Yeah, unfortunately for this reason, it seems that the future of convincing people of ethics will always be some sort of uh, dark thing. Not that it's no that in the sense that it's going to be so hard. It seems very devilish, and
Hmm.
I
Do you think
wonder. I think maybe this is like the core of the problem when it comes to convincing people of antinatalism. A lot of the time, maybe it's, I wonder if there is a way to maybe maybe if maybe antinatalists all around the world should be asked this question, and maybe some can come up with the best possible answer to something like that.
No, it's probably like one of the most important questions. Yeah, is why ought we do things, and like what makes things bad, regardless of how we experience them. So I mean, if someone can get an actual answer to that, that'd be fucking awesome. But me myself, I'm not equipped to explain why things are wrong because we feel them to be wrong. Philosophy hasn't really done that for me. They just kind of, I go to religious college, so they're just kind of like, Jesus, man. But then it really just comes down to like, well, why ought we obey what God says? And then they're just kind of like, so yeah, you know, philosophy, man, it's a bullshit fucking degree. I don't know why I do this to myself.
Yeah, so yeah, so what I was going to say at the core of all the of all the arguments, I guess lies the. No, I don't know what I was going to say, but it's hard to find a way to think around this problem. But maybe it's I guess asking people anti-natalists about this sort of problem could be a good thing, but if the natalist gets a hold of it or something and they can use it for at
Ammunition.
that point, it could convince, it could have some bad effects too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I agree. It just comes down to like who is willing to use it. I mean, people who use that argument are basically moral nihilists and moral anti-realists and stuff of that nature. So it's like they're fairly rare. So it's not like we're gonna stumble across them very often, and they're really usually not focused on antinatalism very much. But yeah, I mean, I could totally see a person who is, you know, anti-realist just coming along and being like, oh yeah, fuck antinatalism, nothing's right, nothing is wrong, you can't prove any of that, and then just being like, we're all just kind of sitting here like, yeah, and fuck you, Colin. I mean, but there's no reason to feel happy though, because according to ethics, there's no, according to how you're pursuing, yeah, but according to how you perceive ethics, there's no reason to pursue dopamine or anything. It's just is. So my brother's talking to me, by the way, so that's what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's where it comes down to the whole problem of like why ought to do anything, like why do anything or not do anything. Yeah, I don't know how you go about answering that question properly yet, other than just the fact that like experience generates value, and so what you experience kind of is how it goes. But I don't know how you put experience generating values into like philosophical, logical terms like A equals B. A plus B equals C. You know, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess some can argue it generates value because that's what one does. That's why one is. It is like an aversion or a motivator or can one say that?
Repeat it one more time.
Like to explain why like it creates value, it gets people to. Now maybe that not even that explains it really.
Do you want to just come back to this on a different topic, like a different day, perhaps?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think I can say more about it.
Yeah,
we could switch to another topic.
Yeah. My brother just asked me if pontificate's a word. Yeah, pontificate's a word. Just means talking out loud. Like pontificating just means like discussing a topic out loud and like questioning things, basically. That's what it means, pontificate. But yeah, we should pontificate on this in a future session. I'm gonna end the live stream here in a minute, just because I have to
Okay.
do some Spanish homework. I'm gonna start a live stream probably again later tonight, but I mean you're probably gonna be asleep when that happens. So
But maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should discuss it in. I feel like if we discussed it the next live stream, we might not have. It might not be that much different. Maybe we should
hold off.
discuss it. Hold it off for.
Maybe like do not watch a stream or something like that.
Yeah, I guess we could ask it in the do not watch stream too.
Yeah, that would be interesting. There's plenty of antinatalists in there from different perspectives, like David Pierce perspective and other things. I mean, almost everybody in the do not watch stream is an antinatalist, right? They're just kind of, I mean, not all of them, but like a majority of them are antinatalists. They're just like transhumanist based and stuff like that. Not necessarily negative utilitarians, but more deontological. I think. I'm not entirely sure, but I know Do Not Watch is kind of an antinatalist. He's not a consequentialist, or at least not a negative consequentialist. Maybe he is. He just has weird ways of going about it. Perhaps I'm not sure. Do you know what? Do you know what Do Not Watch's philosophical beliefs are actually?
Antinatalist, obviously, and do not watch. Antinatalist, and he wouldn't. Think he wouldn't press the red button,
He wouldn't, or would?
or
Wouldn't. Okay.
or maybe he doesn't want his channel to be
Taken down. Yeah, I
taken
got you.
down. It could be
Yeah, that's interesting.
determinist.
He's a humanist. Is that what you said?
Determinist, obviously, but
Oh, determinist. Yeah. I mean, yeah, if he's an antinatalist, then I'm curious what he would. I mean, if he's an antinatalist, he surely has some level of ethical beliefs to him. He's not an anti-realist and he's not a nihilist, and that's what's the main question. So long as he's not a nihilist or an anti-realist, then he's going to believe that there's some reason for something to be right or wrong. So I'd be curious what his explanation for why things are right and wrong is. So yeah, I think the next time we have the Do Not Watch stream, we should definitely ask him that. But
yeah.
Well, you have a good night, Seb. I'm going to end the stream for now, but take care.
Take care.
Ciao.
Bye.